Hey, it's the Bennington Show on a Wednesday, midweek, 844 Rock God, 844 Rock God. Pick up the phone. Talk to the Bennington Show. Ron Bennington, Gail Bennington.
Yo.
Stanley Stan Bennington.
What's up?
Still on the straight and narrow, huh, Stans?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's looking good.
Yeah. I think you're doing good radio when you're like, I think he's still a little foggy. We'll let him ease into it. I always say don't start with a grunt, but I'm old school that way. You know, I remember the steel curtain. What can I say? All right, the Bennington Show, 844 Rock God. Big story, I believe, out there today is Jeb Bush has, he's jumped back into this damn thing. But now, did he tweet this or put it out on Instagram?
He tweeted this photo out, and it is a photo of a gun, a personalized handgun.
Yeah, it says Governor
Jeb Bush, with just the title that says America.
America.
Yeah. Which is crazy because it's exactly the ironic thing that people say when you're saying a negative thing about America. It's almost like when I saw it, I thought, is this a joke or is he being serious? No, he's absolutely being serious.
I would retweet this with, no bacon in this picture? I mean, I would have loved it if you would have had this gun wrapped with some bacon. Here's, first of all, it's a great fucking tweet, and he moves up points. If I was Chris Hardwick, I would just yell points, because I would then have the right to give and take away points. He never explains how he's picked that up or how you win that game, but you can. Now, the problem is, every time we're going to have a school shooting in the future, and we will, this gets the retweet.
This is the perfect.
And it's going to be sent back to him. And he's going to say, yeah, but we need to enact the gun laws that we have now.
I'm wondering if he thought that this was going to be the tough guy persona he needed to, after Trump's bullying of him over the weekend.
Well, the fact that it's just lying there and it looks nice and shiny and barely used, I think hurts him just a little bit. No one likes to see a clean sword.
Yeah, and I guess it would have been a different thing if he had released a photo of him, target practice.
The Sarah Palin picture.
Sure.
Yeah.
Which, went over very well for her. I mean,
you look like you know how to handle firearms. Not that you just lied it down there somehow. Exciting, though. Exciting because it means we're pulling out every stop that you got.
I'm just worried it could be read as a threat to Trump. You take my domain name, this is what happens.
Well,
you're going to meet the little governor.
Boy, listen to this bad fucking tweet. Oh no, Rod Stewart. Did Chris get arrested listening to Rod Stewart while hiding weed in his anus? Why? You know how they say that you gotta... There should be actually like a little bit of an IQ test before you can tweet.
What does that mean?
No, I don't know. I guess it's 1975 and we're still doing Rod Stewart's gay jokes.
Edgy here.
Yeah. There's a story. Oh, you like that dude? Well, he had to have his stomach pumped.
I thought that was Lil' Kim.
Now here Michael writes this, and this is one of my most annoying internet lines. Love me some Rod Stewart. Michael, you seem like a good dude. And then he says, I also, am I the only listener who Googles the musician in the opening song every day to see if they died? I don't know. Do we always play dead musicians? I guess we do. I guess we'll open with a dead person.
Yeah.
And there's just been a lot of, unfortunately, the one we didn't do, and her family's still furious from the Grammys, is Natalie Cole. They thought Natalie Cole deserved a little more love.
Right. She had a small tribute, but it was not the size of...
Her small tribute was right in the middle of everybody else's in memoriam, the same as, a fucking record engineer.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, she didn't get the Eagles song, I forget who else got it. Maurice Starr got a nice song. Was that who died? Maurice Starr? Somebody died.
Yeah.
Maybe, I hope it was Maurice Starr. Not. Look at the slow typing because the other guy won't type.
No, Maurice Starr is alive.
Oh,
All right,
good.
well, who's the guy
news.
that, wait, first of all, what is Maurice Starr famous for?
He wrote songs for New Kids on the Block.
Wow, that's fucking crazy that I just pulled that.
Yeah, where did that name come from?
No idea. That's a weird one. So did he found New Kids on the Block? Was he the black dude who founded them?
No,
he used to dress up like a general.
No, he just wrote songs for them.
But he had to write for other people.
But how does he know this name?
New Edition, Confunction.
He had to have done something before that. Why would he know his name? He wouldn't just know New Kids writer.
I don't know. It might be something through the business.
Yeah, he's New Edition and New Kids on the Block are his two big acts.
Well, thankfully
all,
he's doing all right.
Yeah, he's doing all right, and he's had a hell of a career. The fact of the matter is, before we got in deep to this, instead of letting it dangle,
Natalie Cole
never got a song on this show.
She did not get a tribute.
Yeah. People love retweeting the Jebby's Got a Gun.
It's the best picture ever, and people are already making memes about it, replacing his name with, like, please clap, and all sorts of other Jebisms.
Well, Jeb's great. Like he said, can you believe that you'd ever hear someone say the F word, the P word, and the S word? I'll never fucking forget that P word.
Come on.
He's a good boy. He doesn't use language like that.
Well, not in, as he says, in pubic. And then he has a big laugh. And took his fucking dick out and put it on somebody's face that was trying to help the Manning family.
He's surprisingly edgy.
Oh, yeah. Well, no one knew that Peyton would fucking lay a Roman helmet on someone, and he did it. You gotta have respect. Sometimes you explode. 844 Rock God, 844 Rock God, if you want to get in touch with us today. Up on the iBang today, the full trailer is out for the new Pee-wee, which is going directly to
Netflix.
Which service? Netflix. And then there's a new documentary out called Ghost Heads to document the Ghostbuster fan culture. I didn't know it was that big, but Gail has a cousin who, a few years ago when he was very little, only referred to Bill Murray as Peter Venkman.
Yeah.
He did not know him by anybody.
Venkman's in that?
He was surprised that Venkman did a lot of outside Ghostbuster work. Would you say you're a ghost head?
I certainly really liked Ghostbusters when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I would. Well, I definitely currently am not a ghost head. But at one time in my life, I don't know. Maybe when I was a kid, I think I had a Ghostbuster lunchbox. So.
Oh yeah, it's a ghost head. But here's the deal: I think about Ghostbusters. The first one is not as great as everyone says, and the second one is not as bad as everyone says.
Yeah, it's somewhere in the middle.
The second one is so hated that when you watch it, you expect it to be kind of terrible, and you're like, no, this is fine.
It's really not that bad. Why does it get such a bad rap? But I would agree that like the first one gets maybe idolized a little more than it should. But
I mean, it's by far, and most people, if you were doing a Family Feud, name a Bill Murray movie, Ghostbusters would probably get a major bump there.
Right.
Definitely number one. Pit Doc wants to help out.
Yeah, Ronnie, it's Maurice White from Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Thank you, Pit Doc. You're the best. You're the real producer, not Chris Stanley.
No problem, guys. I'll see you later.
All right, see you later, pal.
Peace.
Bye, Pit Doc.
Oh, God. But we got all these computers, and nobody was like saying, hey, what was the things that were done? Where, how do I jump into that? How do I do a correction? They just let Chris, and Chris was reading like this. According to this, but that's where the alcohol bottle would have went before.
It sounds like oats. He's like he's enjoying some oats.
Jebby's got a gun.
What did Jebby do?
What a strange song that is. Right? This is so fucking dumb. I always wish that Janie would fall, and this could be a third song, but would fall in love with Jeremy from fucking.
Oh yeah, they've
Pearl
got a
Jam.
lot in common.
Yeah, they both freaked the fuck out, and brought a lot of attention in. All right, thank you for fixing that. All I have. All right. Now they're putting the gun on top of Bennington shirts.
No!
Oh, no!
Don't associate us with that.
I think it's fine. All right, D says Jeb said the gun was a gift and that he personally didn't tweet the pic. Well, who did? Who got close enough to see his gun?
But it's from his Twitter account.
He's got to okay these things.
Yeah, everybody thinks that you're all right if you go, hey, an intern handles my Twitter.
An intern handles my Twitter and my guns, both.
An intern said that all women were whores. So why is everyone getting mad at me? Yeah, it was next to a picture of me giving 2 thumbs up. But that was an intern. Adam in Jersey.
Yeah, you guys mentioned Bill Murray and his sequels, and I remember growing up, the worst Bill Murray movie made into a sequel that I did watch a million times as a kid was that Meatballs 2. I don't know if you guys ever saw that.
Yeah, that's not a Bill Murray movie.
He wasn't in it, though.
Yeah.
No, I know, but it was his first movie that they made into a sequel. And you remember there was like the alien that
yeah, I mean, that thing was absolutely made. I mean, you could look at it and say, they didn't even put the money that they put into a sitcom into this. My dad shot a birthday video for us that looked like it was better produced.
I remember being at Blockbuster Video and seeing that there was a Meatballs 2 and running up to you and being like, why didn't you tell me this? And you're like, you're going to be disappointed if you rent that. And I did, and I was. It was so disappointing.
That could actually be like a whole list in itself. Movies that were supposedly sequels, but really didn't have any of the main characters back.
It's just
Grease
the title.
2 is a perfect example. I think they've tried it with Caddyshack. Well, National Lampoon just became such a rip-off chop shop of themselves.
Yeah.
There was a deal where that and I think it still exists, if you go and give them some money, you can put National Lampoon on your movie. And it isn't a great amount of money. The same thing is true of a building with Donald Trump's name. If you just give him money, you can just put up anything that you want. Now, Chris Stanley asked me a question out front today during smoke time, which I said to him, let's just look how this all turned purple. I don't know. Fucking Prince came here. So Chris Stanley asked me a question outside that I just go like this immediately. Save that for the air. Chris, now that we're all here, Joey, Jojo, Gail, and myself, and the listeners at 844 Rock God, 844 Rock God, feel free to ask this question.
Okay. This was the question I posed to you downstairs.
Right.
If you had to, you have to choose one. What you give up forever? Either side dishes or condiments. You can get rid of one category.
Right. Now, before we get into that.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah. What is the circumstance?
Well, I was making...
What insane person would even think there's something in between them?
This is if Hitler won,
and
the Nazis said, "Pick one, America.
Right.
You can't have both."
This came to me as I was making a cheese sandwich last night.
Okay.
Not grilled, just cold cheese.
Just cold cheese
because
sandwich.
you didn't have condiments or a side. Yeah,
and you
or bread or cheese. She just spoke.
I made a cheese sandwich in my mind.
All right, so let me get this straight.
Yeah.
Let's suppose I say no sides. I go out to a restaurant, I just get a piece of fish.
Yeah, literally,
There's nothing else that I get.
You just got your entree and protein.
Now, or you're saying I would go out and get a cheeseburger, fries, even if... No, you're not even paying attention. Let me talk. Right. I said, well, the other side is I get a cheeseburger, fries, but I can't put ketchup on.
No ketchup, no.
Now, this doesn't seem to be equal enough to debate. Like if you said, if you had to give up a condiment, we would be in some kind of a talk.
Sure.
But if you say, do you keep a condiment or give up any other food group? Why? Why would anyone do that?
Well, also, we're talking not just ketchup, but salt and pepper on your eggs and whatnot.
I don't consider them a condiment.
That's a spice.
Yeah, that's a completely different thing.
So now you're telling me on top of that I have to have just bland food?
Yeah, because condiments give free flavor.
They're not a condiment.
I'm going to tell you right now, I understand this is your game, but salt and pepper is not included.
That's insane. With it.
No, here's the thing. You've now taken yourself off your basic fucking premise. A condiment is basically mayonnaise, mustard, ketchup, and relish.
Hot sauce, those type of... Yeah, this would be more difficult if you played it Uptown, where they keep hot sauce in a bag.
Ranch.
But to me, the only condiment that would ever matter is mustard, and a brown mustard to be specific. It's difficult to eat a dry hot dog under any circumstances.
You're going to say that to mayonnaise?
Yeah, I am going to say it to mayonnaise. Because here's the thing. When food is prepared with mayonnaise is not a condiment. It's only a condiment when you put extra mayonnaise on. So I'm not eating dry fucking tuna fish. What I'm not doing is putting extra mayonnaise on that.
I do that.
No, I know you do. But it's still not as difficult as... giving up side dishes. Side dishes is ridiculous because you would only eat one food at a time now for the rest of your life. There's no combining.
There's no food combinations. And I'm going to say it. I think that there's a lot of side dishes out there I could use as condiments. I'll throw the side dish on the sandwich, on the burger. I don't know. If you had mashed potatoes, you could put it on top of the meat. It's almost like it's its own condiment.
Do you know?
You put chips on a sandwich, make it exciting.
There's very few things that a condiment helps anyway. What a condiment helps is bad food.
Right.
Now, a hot dog, being as flavorless as it is, really does need some spicy brown mustard. Yeah. But most foods don't. By the way, since Chris has quit, what is this Dr. Evil pose where he acts like he's in an interesting conversation, but he's not?
Very intriguing.
Posing this question, though.
But I would say, in this case, let's say you had a side of beans with your hot dog. Go ahead and bean your hot dog up, and that's your condiment. You're using your side as your condiment.
Not the same as a mustard.
Again, we're getting off track.
What I'm saying is that's why, to me, picking side to keep is way easier. I'll lose the condiments if I have to.
Here's Will. Will, what's up?
Hey, can I order a side as an entree, like French fries, just for dinner, and then order a hamburger as another entree?
No, French fries are not a main. It's a side dish. You're trying to cheat now, buddy.
Well,
what about like a nachos?
Nachos are okay because no one gets a side of nachos. Those crazy bastards. I'll have a cheeseburger, the side of nachos, please.
This is why it's difficult to get into these conversations because you're a dope, Chris, and so are your callers. Now, you can't say that someone can't be walking down the street and order fucking fries. Of course you can. What you can have is fries next to a cheeseburger. That's the fucking point.
Then it becomes a side. If you want fries for dinner, that's your dinner.
Macaroni and cheese could be an entree or a side. And it happens all the time. If you go out somewhere and you're like, give me a mac and cheese. And you're like, no, let's change that. Give me fried chicken. And they go like this, some mac and cheese on the side. You're like, what the fuck? Why don't you just say that as I came in? I wouldn't be sitting here struggling.
Sir, just so you know, as you take your seats, macaroni cheese is a side here.
Richard in Florida.
I have a question. Is
Sure you
salad dressing a condiment?
Yes, salad dressing is a condiment. If you order a salad, you get dressing on the side.
But no, what if it's already pre-mixed?
You can't get it, though, because that's a condiment being put into your salad. A salad dressing is a part of a salad.
But we just sat around and said the same thing is true of mayonnaise. That if you're making an egg salad with mayonnaise, that is not a condiment.
It's a part of an ingredient.
It's a part of an ingredient. Now, if you say, I want extra salad dressing, you're like, oh, no. Now you turn that into a condiment.
Don't you know what the rule is now?
So this is dumb. This is a dumb fucking question. And you got this while you're eating a dry cheese sandwich?
Yeah, exactly.
With
it was just fucking 2 pieces of cheese on dry bread.
By the way, I just want you to know while you're eating your cheese sandwich, ham is not a fucking side.
I thought you had any ham.
Or a condiment, for that matter.
Then you don't make a sandwich.
I figured I'd jump in.
The only way you can jump down, why didn't you just grill your cheese?
Yeah.
Didn't have no butter. All I had was like a package of cheese and some bread in my apartment. No potato chips, no mayonnaise, no nothing. So this is what brought me to this
Is that what you would have used, though? Just mayonnaise and cheese?
Yeah. Had some mayo.
Did you just...
Are you seeing this?
There's something floating in here.
Dude, you're fucking...
You're losing it.
He is. First of all, he was posing as Dr. Evil, like he was so intelligent a moment before. And now he's just swinging his fist at nothing.
He's swatting at air, and there's nothing there, Chris.
All right. The problem that we have with your contest is it can't be 100% on one side and 0 on the other. It's like it becomes interesting if it's Hillary or Bernie, not Hillary and some fucking collected dust from behind your fucking radiator. You know what I mean? You need to make it a contest. No one is going to say, "Oh, this is so difficult."
Look, all right, I'll give you an example, right?
Yeah.
All right. Hot wings. How do you eat hot wings for the rest of your life without blue cheese? It's impossible.
It's first of all, it's chicken. So I don't normally need blue cheese for anything.
I need it. It's the only way I can eat them.
So you would rather just have blue cheese for the rest of your life rather than mashed potatoes,
nothing,
string beans?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't need the sides, man. I'm a condiment dude.
You're walking towards real illness, Chris. I see it coming your way. Robert in Kansas.
Yeah, Ronnie, I got a cousin. He graduated from fucking House of Chefs or whatever it's called.
House of Chefs.
Cordon bleu, or
yeah.
He insists butter is a condiment. We are in an argument over this. A 2-week argument.
Well, I don't see how it could be a condiment. Most of the time, you don't. I mean, how many things do you put butter on? Toast,
but mashed potatoes.
But is that a condiment when you put it on toast? Under your rule right now, jelly would be a condiment or peanut butter, and they're not.
True. Although jelly does kind of seem like a condiment when used on toast, but I would not say it would be a condiment in a peanut butter and jelly. That's an ingredient of the sandwich.
So you're saying on toast you would put butter and the jelly as a condiment?
I don't know. Butter almost goes into that thing of it's more of an ingredient because nobody's eating dry toast. Like that's just, who does that?
Old people. Old people love a dry toast because their doctors told them something. You eat that toast with butter on it, you'll die. You want an extra 5 years?
Don't butter mine. Just don't butter mine.
You never heard of people saying dry toast? See, this would have been a much better question than the one Chris fucking wheelbarrowed in with it full of DTs. Is what is a condiment? Is butter a condiment? Is jelly a condiment? Is peanut butter a condiment? Because some things can be used as condiments sometimes, but doesn't make them condiments.
I'm the same right as cream cheese. Would you call cream cheese on a bagel a condiment?
I wouldn't.
It's part of the sandwich. That's like saying...
That's like saying his cheese sandwich, oh, you only put that cheese on there to make your bread taste better. And that's everything we put in to a fucking sandwich. is because you're like, this tastes better with bread. That's your whole fucking reason. Here's Paul in Tennessee.
Hey.
Yeah.
What about if you had your condiments on the side? If you ordered a salad, you got the salad dressing on the side.
See, this is the thing, Paul. It's people like you who try to beat the system all the time and, quite frankly, live without honor. It's why we have to have firearms. Because when someone in real life treats you like Paul, you have to do what Jeb does and shoot that person.
Yes, with a gun personalized to you.
Chris Stanley came in here straight up, heart out, ready to have a discussion. And people immediately go in, how can I beat this?
Look, you can't beat it. This is either you give up condiments or you give up sides. That's all. That's the question. You can't
but
cheat your way through it.
What if you say give up condiments, but then you use the condiment as a side?
No, it's still a condiment. If
I'll
it's
be fighting
categorized
ketchup,
as a
please.
condiment,
And a spoon.
no.
Is a spoon a condiment? Jarrett, Louisiana.
I'd like to ask Chris, what condiments are included in his not a side nachos? Like sour cream, olives, hot sauce.
I'm saying no hot sauce, no sour cream, no guac.
So you can't have nachos.
I mean, melted cheese on top of them with whatever. I don't know, jalapenos. I don't know how you have your nachos.
But by this right, then nachos are completely out. If you choose...
They're all condiments, it seems like.
It's mostly a condiment dish. It's a condiment
God, I love nachos. The more we talk about it, it's 90% condiments.
I don't know if you ever feel more like a dope than when you're eating nachos in public. Nachos in private. I mean, nachos are like masturbation. Privately, you're like, this is fine. But you get out in public, you're like, I really don't know if I want to be seen doing this. Too much.
It's just falling all over your face.
Now, here's the weird thing when we get into the condiments world. Bacon is not a condiment, but crunch it up. And suddenly those little bits of bacon are a condiment. A fist can turn an entree, which bacon is a side. It's also an entree, and then it's also a condiment.
It's a superfood.
We know that from the internet. They fucking love it.
Do you realize how good bacon tastes? Bacon flavored everything.
I love bacon pizza.
It's great.
I love it.
The flavor, it's the best part.
I feel like more than any other meal, breakfast might be in the most trouble with this.
What's that?
Because you're talking about things like, let's say you have pancakes, waffle, French toast, have you? You always want to side with that. Who doesn't want to side meat with that stuff? But then what goes on it? Syrup, butter, all of these things.
First of all, I like that you call it syrup.
Syrup.
I never considered syrup to be a condiment. Obviously, it must be. And yet, the thought of a dry pancake, I'd take Jeb's gun and fucking put it in my mouth.
Yeah, somebody had to ask you. You're going to have pancakes for breakfast.
Yeah.
You can either syrup your pancakes, but you have no bacon or sausage on the side, or you take away the meat, but you get to use syrup. What would you rather?
It doesn't matter whether I would rather, because both are just horrific. I mean, this is a Sophie's choice. Matter of fact, even worse. She only had to pick between a daughter and a son. I'm picking between sides of bacon and sausage and syrup. But I can honestly tell you, a pancake without syrup is not even, why would you bother?
It's garbage.
A dry pancake person is a serial killer and a killer of children.
Even those who just put like a little powdered sugar on it?
Oh,
No.
they're disgusting.
It's not a crepe.
That's grandparent shit.
That's not a crepe.
No. Oh, fuck.
But you can't choose.
I'm looking at a dystopian future. Or present, rather.
I say anyone who doesn't, it's an easy slam dunk because you give up the condiments. You just do.
Yeah.
You get more food. And anyone who eats a steak with nothing else. I mean, what kind of person would
You're
do that?
a Neanderthal.
Yeah.
Then at that point, you're no better than a Neanderthal. If you're just eating a slab
Thank
of
you.
meat with no sides, you're not a civilized person.
If you're going to do that, you should pick it up with your bear claws and start to eat at it. Because it's just not, you're right. If you went out to a restaurant with friends and then you said, just give me a steak, nothing else. I would put that with the kind of people, and they do exist, that eat food without a beverage. And those fucking people are the lowest on the planet. They're the lowest on the planet.
I don't even know how it's done. It shocks me that people are able to do that.
I call them saliva mouth fucking maniacs. There's too much spit there.
Well, you bring up a good point about going out to dinner. If you're the person who chooses condiments, which, from what I can tell, Chris, that's you.
Yeah, that's me.
So you're out to dinner with friends.
Keep this going.
No.
You're out to dinner with friends.
Yeah.
You order your entree. You have to then ask for no sides with your entree.
Yeah.
But give me all the condiments you got, because I could use any of these on
By
this
the way,
piece of
one
meat.
of the sides is alcohol.
Oh, Jesus. I thought that fell in the beverages.
But if you were the kind of person who just wasn't putting condiments on the food that they ordered, no one would notice. Nobody would be looking at you like, this guy eats like a weird person.
I don't mind them.
They would just think, this person doesn't use condiments. You would look crazy if you were eating no sides.
I don't even think you notice when people don't use condiments.
No.
I mean, probably the only food that I would imagine, if someone said no ketchup or mustard on their hot dog, I just like a dry hot dog, I would go like this. That's odd. But if someone said, no, don't put anything on my fries, or even my baked potato, I would get it. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
he likes the taste of the natural food. Like Chris bringing up blue cheese with wings. Matter of fact, the majority of people don't have blue cheese with their wings. It's not a majority thing. I know that because I know people in the industry, and they're saying they now ask, do you want this? You know what I mean? Where no one would ever say, should I bring some mustard and ketchup along? We'll leave it on the table. No one's leaving blue cheese on the table. Here's Dave in Ohio.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah.
Since he did not give you the definition of condiment,
He didn't think this out.
I have it from the Oxford Dictionary.
All right, great.
Thank you.
It is a noun, of course. Then it says a substance such as salt or ketchup.
Wow, salt.
That is used to add flavor to food, period.
Now, by the way, if you have to put salt on your food, it means you're at a bad place. There's no chef who wants salt out there in a good restaurant. It just means, your food hasn't been prepared properly.
Exactly.
But if salt is a condiment, is sugar.
Yeah, I mean, I get by the same right, I would call it almost like a condiment to coffee. If you added sugar to your coffee.
What about a sweet tea, which is kind of brewed together?
I would say
I could get by on sweet teas. Or I'll just go like this. Bring me a Coke.
Already mixed in. Bring me the Coke. It's the rules. That's Nazi law.
There's 18 tablespoons of that condiment in that small can. I am a little weirded out that salt was included, but adults make it a point not to have salt because it's not very good for you.
Right.
You're still, but it also, any chef will tell you, if it's a nice place and they see you putting salt on, it's like they see you putting ketchup on your fucking steak.
Yeah. I think that it would definitely make you have to step up and not have shitty food, because oftentimes if I'm at a place that is not that good, I'm salting the food. It's very common for me. I have a salty palate.
Well,
it makes me more nervous if we're adding salt to this condiment thing. I feel like my answer still stands, but now it's a more complex issue.
It would be better for you if you don't eat salt.
I know, that would be healthier. So maybe it's not a bad thing, but this news is the toughest blow so far.
Well, We should have given him a prize. I mean, somebody who still has an Oxford dictionary.
It's impressive.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Impressive.
All right, let's try this with Joey Jojo. Joe, you're from what town?
St. Paul, Minnesota.
Okay. What if you had to give up one of the two? Prince or the Replacements?
Oh, God. I'd have to go with the Replacements. It'd be a tough choice. But Prince, I've listened to since I was a baby.
Why didn't you listen to the Replacements then?
I didn't discover them till high school.
Parents were like nerds, huh?
Yeah, they were nerds. My dad loved opera.
Really?
Yeah. That's what I grew up with in the house.
You didn't grow up with your brothers?
They were outside. We had a rule where if I was inside, they had to be outside, and if I was outside,
I got good news for you. I'm going to be making an announcement in just a little bit, and it is the next Unmasked, and it's fantastic, and it's also Minnesota-based.
Oh, my God.
We're going to Minnesota!
No.
We might. We might be going to Minnesota for this.
That would be great.
Show you guys around.
Bennington on the road?
On the lake.
Show us around your house. I'd like to see some of the old piss bottles.
They're still there. My parents haven't found all of them.
Well, they would have evaporated by now.
All right, I think I'm going to announce now.
You're going to announce now?
Yes. So this is for... We're going to do it here instead of Minnesota. But this person is from Minnesota. The day, Friday. Oh, fantastic. March 11th, 11 a.m. right here at the old Sirius XM building. The person we recently said is the best thing on television today. It's Zach Galifianakis' mother, Louie Anderson. Oh, yeah. Louie Anderson.
Yeah!
And he is from Minnesota, right?
Yeah, not only that, he's from my neighborhood, and he went to my high school.
Wow, you're older than I thought you were.
Yeah, I know. I was a sophomore, he was a senior. We still hung out in the same place.
Man, this is such an exciting one. I cannot wait for this Unmasked.
Yeah. Well, you know, we had him in one time with Jay Moore. Now, they were here separately, right?
They were here separately, yeah.
So Jay was sitting in with us. Louie came in, and we had one of the best days that we've ever had. And then Jay has all these stories about Louie being incredibly great to Jay's wife, Nikki Cox, when she was a little girl. These really sweet stories. But Louie Anderson is hilarious and is now, as we said, the hottest thing on TV in Baskets, which I didn't want to love it the way I do, but I do. Better Call Saul is back on, too.
Yeah. Have you started watching the new?
Oh, yeah.
Are you liking it?
I'm just a fan of the show.
I didn't finish last season, so I'll have to catch back up.
It's very important that you do because it's one of those type of shows that's not, one-offs. So he's from your high school.
Correct, yeah.
Do you remember what your mascot was?
Snoopy.
No.
Actually, Snoopy?
It was actually Snoopy.
So you were the what high school?
Johnson.
The Johnson Snoopies?
Governors. It was the Johnson Governors because we had two governors that went to that high school.
Okay,
And
so then the
Snoopy was our
governor is
mascot.
your mascot.
But here's the fun fact. Central High School across the way, Charles Schultz went to Central High School, the guy who created Snoopy, but for some reason he's our mascot. I think we beat them in football and now we claim that right.
It sounds like a weird place. Well, then you're going to dress up as Snoopy.
I'm there.
We're going to make this the whole thing. Matter of fact, I don't know who took this picture, but look up on the iBank of TJ Miller walking into the Unmasked, and this is my absolute favorite Unmasked picture right now. Look at that.
Oh my God.
Isn't that fucking great?
That is the cutest. That's a great picture.
And I also love that, of course, because he did Unmasked wearing a shirt with a mask on it.
He was unmasked, and then the mask ended up right there.
Yeah. Chris, months ago, you said that you were going to put together this thing of all the pieces that people had to say about Unmasked.
Yes.
How far away are we there?
End of the week, I'll have.
But because I want one that isn't just for promos, I want one that's just for the show.
Okay.
So we can just hear how many people had a great time. And the amount of people that have done Unmasked now is just terrific. But I don't know if I could be any more excited with anyone today that I am Louie Anderson.
I know.
Because I love him so much on this show.
Yeah, he's so fantastic, but it maybe is the best performance going right now. It really floored me when he was introduced on the show, which he's introduced the first episode, but from the moment you see him, you cannot believe how good he is at portraying this character. And then how quickly he just kind of becomes that character in your mind. Like, you really lose Louie in that character.
Well, I've had people say he reminds me of my mom, my grandmother, my aunt. There's someone in your family that he's acting like. And I wonder if he's just doing his impression of his own mom, and that's why he's got all the minutia down.
There's so much detail in the way that he does it that he has to be emulating some woman from his family that he knows very well. Because there are like tiny little details that he does that are just it's eerie, and he also does it with some sort of like care and gentleness. Like, you easily could play that character in a mocking way or an over the top way, but there's he's very gentle with the character, you know.
Well, here's an example. Like, he said to Zach Galifianakis, "And why don't you come over and meet, my neighbor? Their son's an astronaut. Maybe you can be maybe you could be like a clown in space." Like that thing where your mother just gets something so wrong.
Yeah, and then thinks that they're coming to you with a suggestion to help your life, and it's just something that they saw on a show or something that somebody at church told them. It's so funny. He's incredible. I'm so excited for this Unmasked.
Well, I remember years ago, he had done this bit that was so funny because I felt like he stole it from my family. But he was talking about, like, when you're a little kid and you're getting ice cream, I think all you want is chocolate, no matter what comes up. You just want chocolate. But then you couldn't figure out why the adults didn't, you know what I mean? They would get these other things. And when he says, my mom was always like, "I'll have peach." There was always like some sweet thing, and that always killed me. And then his dad was like, "Give me onion." You know what I mean? Like, your dad would get an ice cream that you're like, he's got walnuts in it. You know what I mean? Why is he destroying his food? And like, it was one of those things. I saw him doing it on, this bit on TV, and it was one of those things where you're like, "Fuck!" So there's nothing unique about my family at all.
Yeah.
I thought we were this really unique once in a lifetime thing in the universe, and you find out that it's everyone else. But it's really weird. I can tell from people's pictures if they grew up at the same time that I did. There's always this paddling shot that anyone who grew up in the 70s, and the certain toys that are sitting there, where you're like, I could have easily just lived in your home without a fucking care in the world.
And maybe would have not been that different of a person for it.
Well, it probably would have been exactly the same. Hard Rock Johnny's trying to get a hold of us now. He calls on the hotline because he's a very special person. Yes, Johnny, is there trouble in the mines we should get to?
No.
Okay.
This may be the second Unmasked that I go to because I'm so fascinated with Louie Anderson as the mother in this show. It's beyond ridiculous. When he first showed up, he's like, my wife didn't want to watch baskets. I'm screaming, "Come in the other room, you got to see this." It is amazing.
It is phenomenal, right?
This last episode with the whole Easter thing and the hat and going to church and it's time for to get some dessert.
It was the best episode so far, and it might be because of how much time you get to spend with that character.
I mean, it was also really dark. I mean, that was a dark episode. Like when her mother, so you get to see Louie Anderson's mother too, like the grandmother, she was just so out of it great.
Just for, generation of generation, we hurt each other. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
The people closest to you hurt you more than anyone else.
And I think that's something, too, that if you've had the experience that you get to see your grandparents be cruel to your parents and make them feel the way they probably felt when they were a child, I think it connects you so much to your parents where you're like, oh, you were a kid too, and you...
No wonder you're fucked up.
I get it.
It is one of the best characters going on TV right now.
Well, there was this really great Alan Alda scene in Horace and Pete where he was talking about what an awful athlete Louie was as a child, what Horace was when he was a child, and then what a great athlete and student Buscemi was, Pete, when he was a child. And you could see that it hurt them both. That the cut down hurt because I was little, and the great thing that you're saying to the other one hurt because I guess I didn't reach some potential that you had for me. By the way, you fucking bartender who gave up your child can still hurt these adult men.
Yeah.
You know?
It's crazy. And the way that people do that with their own family when you're talking about kids their own age, where you don't realize that you're pitting people against each other. You pit siblings against each other without meaning to, by saying, you're my one who does this and you're the one who does that.
Right.
And you don't realize that resentment not only directs back to you, but to each other.
Right.
Even though they have no control over the perception of what their parents
like
think
with
about
Chris,
them.
I'm always like, that's my drunk one.
Yeah.
That's my drunk one.
And that hurts Joe because he likes to drink.
Yeah, but I saw that he can't drink quite as much.
Oh, we're going to change that now.
Well, you're going to have to bulk up. But yeah, it is amazing, and you are invited. Does your wife like it too, Johnny? Or
you know what? She started watching this episode, and it's a tough one to jump in on because it was depressing and dark. She's like, this show is too sad for me to watch. And I was like, all right, maybe you just have to not watch it then because it's
then
so
she
good.
sees you as baskets because, you know what I mean? Like
You're
she's
so
taking that on.
I am. I think she might see me more as Louie Anderson, but that's
I actually see this as the silver age of television. I really do. There's only one age of television that beat that, and that was the Love Boat Fantasy Island years. All right, talk to you later, Jenny.
Later, boys and girls.
Let me know if you want to come to see the Unmasked with Louie Anderson, but we're all excited about it.
I'm so excited about this one. Yeah. It's going to be great. But yeah, you had told me that story about the ice cream bit, and because of that I started looking I wanted to find the bit and I couldn't find it, but because of it I got to watch all these old Louie Anderson, like on Carson, just so damn funny, so ridiculously funny, and usually in the same like still going with kind of telling stories about his family, and he was talking about holidays with his family. It's crazy funny.
Well, he was also, this is the thing about Louie, who you think of as this very gentle guy, but he was also in like that most competitive time at the Comedy Store when Kinnison was there and Roseanne was there, Dice, you know what I mean? Just really heavy hitters at the time. And he went up with that little and slayed.
Yeah.
Just slayed. His material was always so great. But there's a thing with him. There is a truthfulness, I think, in his art. You know what I mean? You can see the pain in his art.
Yeah, that's very true, that you see he has vulnerability that is both heartbreaking and really funny at the same time.
What is it about that, too? What is it about sharing our pain that makes us all fucking laugh so much?
I don't know, but those are always the funniest stories. It's the funniest stories you can tell about yourself or things that were once mortifying to you or painful to you. And then it's a thing that you can find funny when you're really close to someone, when they tell you, this is the pain I experienced. And even though you care for that person, there's nothing funnier than that.
No one ever laughs at a story where a guy beats up a carload of fucking bad guys and then gets in a three-way with two playmates. They're not like, that's such a funny story. Thank you for sharing your lie with us. I mean, your good story with us.
Yeah.
Baskets is such a fucking funny show. And sad. By the way, here's a sad story. Are you guys all familiar with Astronaut ice cream?
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
You do love it?
I do. It's so weird. I don't know what it
Chris,
is.
have you eaten it?
I've had it like once or twice.
It was my favorite thing about going on field trips because for some reason, everywhere we would go on field trips always had Astronaut ice cream. And
the best thing about Astronaut ice cream that it was, that the astronauts ate it.
Yeah.
Wait, it's not Dippin' Dots?
No, it's like dry. It's like a dry
ice cream.
block.
I never had that. No.
What?
You thought Dippin' Dots was astronaut?
I thought it was.
Why?
That's why I've just always thought that Dippin' Dots were like fucking, for space travelers.
No, astronaut ice cream is like a dry block. It's like taking the moisture out of ice cream.
Yes,
but it's like almost like a cookie or a meringue kind of texture.
It's closer to a meringue. Now, the fact of the matter is, and this is from Vox.
Mm-hmm.
No astronauts took astronaut ice cream into space.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And there's a part of this where he has an astronaut on the phone with him. And first of all, it's one of my favorite fucking interviews I've ever heard because astronauts are so badass and blunt,
I can't believe it. So that was never astronaut ice cream. They never ate that in space.
According to this thing, no astronauts had this in space. We're going to have to go back and listen to it later and figure it out, but we should hey, if something's on this list, know where to go to it. But all right, here it is. No, that's Buzz. That's not the guy. This was the guy from 1968. Might have been this one. Nah, there's no sense in jumping into it this way. But the guy was saying, no, we never had this stuff.
I can't believe it's a lie.
It's a fucking giant lie.
That's a huge lie. Because, okay, yes, I did like the flavor, but part of it was that you thought you were eating the same stuff that astronauts ate.
I remember when I was a kid, they would sell us Tang because they said that astronauts drank it in space and it was fucking awful. Supposedly, it was like the first kind of thing where they go, oh, you're getting vitamins in this and stuff. And it just tasted terrible, but we loved astronauts so much. We were drinking the fuck out of it. So you guys never had that thing of growing up, like loving astronauts.
Well, I had a personal fascination with them, but it wasn't as much culturally because of the time period that you grew up in.
Well, the shuttle was different than going to the moon.
Right.
Face it.
Yeah.
The shuttle, you ride for a couple seconds, and then you're up there.
Yeah, it's not a journey to the moon, which is crazy.
To the moon that you can see from your backyard while you're drinking Tang and eating astronaut ice cream and going, we'll probably live there.
Yeah.
We believe that. We must have been idiots.
But it's strange how that happens, like either because of cultural things, events that are happening, or certain movies that pop, that generations of kids could be into one thing. Like a generation of kids like really into space and astronauts. Whereas when I was little, I feel like because like it was like Jurassic Park and then Land Before Time. It was like kids were really into dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah.
And they wanted to talk about dinosaurs a lot and read. And it's kind of weird how that just kind of gets dictated by whatever thing is going on.
If you look at it, right, the generation of kids before the ones that idolized astronauts were Davy Crockett, and that thing was the big. So it was the outdoors, it was cowboys. So that's why Toy Story is like this fucking brilliant thing, because you've got the cowboy, which was the icon of America, and then suddenly here's this new slick astronaut that the very next generation got into. I guess if you look over for the millennials, I guess it's hip hop. Is that it?
Yeah. Love it.
Hip hop toys.
It's a real drop down.
Love 808 beats.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And Beats headphones.
No, I would think that at a certain point it became the software guys, the computer guys that were going to change the world, that they became the next icons for little kids to look up to.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. But I remember, and I really think it's mostly to do with movies and whatever was that trend of dinosaurs, but dinosaurs and archaeologists.
Right,
and
but you're going to grow up to be a fucking dinosaur, Gail.
I thought that I could.
I mean, I obviously grew up to be an astronaut, and a good one.
When I was a kid, I remember I was watching Land Before Time, and I went upstairs. I was crying because they're sad, It's like one of those things. Spoiler alert: the mother dies. It's as every childhood movie where it's supposed to terrify you as a kid. And I went upstairs and I prayed that I would be turned into a dinosaur and my whole family would be turned into dinosaurs. And I told you that, and you yelled at me and said, "Leave me out of your prayers. I don't want to be a dinosaur."
Well, you scared me. You caught me out of nowhere. Leslie in PA.
Oh, hey. I love the show.
Yeah,
I just wanted to say that I had heard Zach Galifianakis on NPR, and he kind of told the story of how he and Louis C.K. were brainstorming on trying to fit the part for his mother. And he goes, well, I guess they had a woman that they had slated for the part, but she wasn't available. So Zach Galifianakis is just kind of sitting there, making the voice of how he pictured the mother would sound. And I guess apparently Louis C.K.'s like, "You mean like Louie Anderson?" And then he's like, "Yeah, exactly." So then they just called him up and he was available for the part. So it's just serendipitous how it worked out.
Well, he did always kind of do that voice in his act. He was one of the guys who would do that voice.
Could have been like a subconscious kind of thing and just meant to be. So, but it was just perfect.
And then they just put a wig on him and it looks
that's
like
what they
a house
mentioned.
coat.
Initially, they had him kind of made up, and then they were like, no, he just looks too made up, too over the top, and just very plain. Just make it look like he looks, and that's spot on. That's the mom.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, darling. Leslie in PA. Now, Chris, you've got the actual thing. I guess the iBank tweeted that out.
Yeah.
It's every time I touch this, it turns purple. Weird. All right, let's take a listen. This is the astronaut that was supposedly on the trip where the astronaut ice cream was eaten.
The people who make this
cannot verify one way or the other. I wasn't with the company then, and
this isn't the astronaut.
So I called an astronaut who was actually there.
Walter Cunningham. I flew on Apollo 7, October 11th to the 22nd, 1968.
It was the first manned mission after a deadly cabin fire on Apollo 1, and Cunningham, Wally Schirra, and Don Isley had big worries.
Meals were scheduled, and we put up with them. And we put up with them because we were really there to test the spacecraft, and we were busy all the time.
But I asked about astronaut ice cream anyway.
The only citation I found is people saying that it flew on Apollo 7. Is that true?
No, they don't know their ass, obviously. We never had any of that.
Cunningham says it was one of many myths that just got repeated by the press. Like the legendary cold that all of the crew members had.
Pure bullshit. Yes, I never had a cold. I think Don thought he might be getting one. He coughed a little bit maybe, but he never really got a cold. Wally's the one that had a cold.
And the transcripts don't show ice cream either. There was a lot of chatter about other foods, like the many puddings on board. The Apollo list was primarily rehydratable foods, like salmon salad, not ice cream. And for the most part, astronauts hated sweet foods. They traded a lot of food on board, and sweet stuff was awful. They tried to get rid of their puddings. Don Isley said, "Wally and I want to give away our butterscotch pudding, but nobody will take it." But even out of the good sweet foods.
All right, so that's the thing. There is no astronaut ice cream.
I can't believe that's true. I cannot believe it. I was fascinated with it as a kid.
Sure. We actually thought that the future would be a lot of either pills or paste, that our food would be down to that point. I think even Disney land, like the future thing there, Tomorrowland, tried to act like, oh yeah, you're not going to have to worry about food in the future. Well, that's only one reason that we eat food is for sustenance.
Yeah, but it's also one of the pleasures of life. It's not like
one of the few.
One of the few. I don't want a pill for sustenance.
They'll have to take our food out of our dead cold hands. By the way, the Eagles of Death Metal there, and no one knew anything about them except for 18 people before this massacre, and now they're telling the French you should all have guns.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, boy.
Why? Why are they throwing themselves into this?
I like to go to a show where everybody's got a handgun.
No.
Then if you like a song, you just start shooting in the air. Let's do this! Fuck yeah! Encore! Seriously, play fucking encore! I will shoot your fucking roadies if I don't get to hear my favorite song. Very, very funny, but that is up on the iBang as well. But I always laugh at us when we go to other countries and tell people how to fucking rock their own world.
Right, we're doing everything so right over here.
This is actually a great story. I don't know if you're familiar with Vanessa Hudgens, but she was Riz in the Grease movie.
Yes.
She and her boyfriend were out at Sedona, out at Red Rocks there.
Love it.
Really, really beautiful place. Obviously protected area. We all went there as a family years ago, and it's still in our, like, you just sit there sometimes and you think, well, that's going on right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm stuck in traffic, but there's this serene, beautiful place that exists.
Something about Arizona, and I think because it was the polar opposite of where I grew up in Florida where it was very tropical. So of all the places I've ever been, it was the most fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that it looked like another planet. I could not believe that this was...
And just pure beauty. Well, Vanessa and her boyfriend felt the same way. And as they were scratching their names on this rock and then uploading it to Instagram.
Oh my God.
You know, tagging it, I guess, as the kids say.
Why would they do it?
I don't know. They could be looking at some serious trouble, though.
Yeah, it's got to be protected by some way. You're not supposed to be leaving any trace.
Well, we don't, you don't want to just say to people, do whatever you want out at this beautiful area where we only have so much.
Right.
But it'll be interesting to see what goes down there.
Vanessa, how could you? Is this something Riz would do?
I think Riz made her a bad person.
She used to be a good girl.
Yeah.
Now she's really acting like she's a real pink lady. Like she rules the school.
Well, she rules Sedona. That's for sure. And they would have got away with it if they didn't have to fucking document every moment of their life.
Right.
This also up on the iBank today. There's some software that predicts that Batman versus Superman will most likely be a flop.
I think, although that could be right, I also just think it gives that vibe anyway. Like, I'm not even sure
the trailer?
The trailer in itself seems like, I mean, I could be wrong, but it seems like a bigger than life flying too close to the sun kind of vibe.
It's dull as fucking as disco.
Yeah, and it cost a tremendous amount, correct?
They they're saying that Warner Brothers is apparently freaked out because it's costing with marketing $500 million for this movie.
So now they could have a movie as big as an opening as big as Deadpool and still not be excited about it. That's how you create flops.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you go, we're going to throw so much money at this thing that unless we become the biggest movie of all time, like the Star Wars didn't even cost that much, right?
No, not at all.
And none of these Supermen work since Reeves. And for me, I'm still, to this day, I think the Chris Reeves movies are fucking awful and embarrassing and look stupid. But I don't think Superman fits in this time. I don't think Batman fits in this time.
Yeah, there's something about it that isn't quite working.
It's 1930s.
Yeah,
it's like if you saw fucking Babe Ruth in a game today, it would look ridiculous. He doesn't belong here.
I think also when you're putting out too much material, like I think they've given away too much in the trailer, and that always seems to hurt big movies.
Yeah, but I'm just judging it as a movie. I don't want to fucking see this shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to see this dark, stupid thing and go like this. Well, how much would that cost Batman to live like that? $18 billion? You know what I mean? Like, you're spending $18 billion. You should be fighting ISIS, not somebody grabbing a fucking purse, you dick.
He's just focused on one city. Fucking bum. This movie's going to get trashed. The trailer blows, and it's going to cost $500 million. And this is the movie that's supposed to, start off the Justice League. They're basically doing the Avengers. So when this thing bombs, DC and Warner Brothers are fucked.
They don't make any of those movies without a plan to have a bunch of sequels, right? I mean, that's
they don't
how
make
they
any movies these days without there being a plan. Any summer movie is set up. It either is a reboot of a brand that they already have, or they're hoping to create a brand with it. There's no movie by the time Deadpool came out, they already had greenlit Deadpool 2. That was another reason where I'm like, well, they must really know that they got the people coming in for this. But no, anytime you do it, you're like, we need to start a franchise.
Right.
Now, if you go back, let's say, and say Star Trek from 3 years ago, try to even ask people to remember it, and it's hard to remember. You know what I mean? You're like, I don't know. They were doing something. And there was some bad guy that was fucking with them.
They're in space, though, I think.
They definitely were in space.
Yeah, there were ships.
I mean, that's how we're getting with these movies now, that when they're over, a lot of them you can't remember. Now, I think that's one of the reasons why people reacted so well to Deadpool is because it was at least different in the way that it looked and the way that they acted and the way that it was being marketed. They're like, oh, this... Even as they're doing the formula, they're making fun of the formula. Now you watch it. Every other fucking movie will do that.
Yeah.
Until you're like, what did we ever like about this?
Well, now they're saying, Fox, was the studio, they want to make Wolverine 3 rated R now. It's because Deadpool fucking is so popular to rated R.
You can't just pick one, the third one of the series or in the trilogy and then flip it on its ear like that.
Well, what are they going to do to make it rated R?
I guess put more graphic violence. I guess Deadpool was really graphically violent. I guess fucking Wolverine's be cutting people's heads off on screen, and you'll see the fucking blood flying everywhere, and he'll curse more.
Full frontal?
You gotta admit that these things don't seem like they're for little kids anymore. They are for adults.
Yeah. I mean, comic book superhero movies in general have it's gone away from that kind of regular good and evil kind of childlike idea of it. And then they all have varying degrees of darkness, particularly in the hero. I mean, yeah.
The last X-Men movie was about genocide. About people getting wiped out and the fucking future being destroyed. It's fucking nuts.
What do you want it to be about? Bad guys robbing banks?
Bad guys.
I love bad guys. Batman stopping them.
You are the bad guy.
The bad guy.
People act like they care about this. There's a paperless Monopoly game. Chris, that was your big story.
Yeah, so now you, instead of paper cash, you're going to have credit cards. And
I thought that this happened years ago, though.
Now this is a new version where you don't even have property cards. Now it's just you have a card and it tells you what your property are.
All right, look, let's face it. What they made is something easier to clean up, i.e., a video game. Is it more video game than it is?
It's like a hybrid where you still have a board and there's some pieces, but there's no cards.
Well, why don't the pieces just move around like if you move your finger?
That's what they should be doing. They fucked up.
Just make an app. That's what you want to do. That's fine.
I'm sure there's got to be a Monopoly app. I'm friends with Alec Monopoly, and I don't know how he's going to feel about this.
Shitty, I bet.
Maybe he could take it and just draw over top of it, like he's fucking with it. So do you like this better or worse, Chris?
I like it better.
You like it better because of the cleanup aspect?
Are you going to play with it?
I haven't played in a long time, but I might pick this up because I like to play a couple cash Monopoly games. It's kind of fun.
I haven't played Monopoly in so long, but when I was a kid, in my mind, they lasted like 6 hours.
They do.
They are really long,
They
right?
could even last longer than that.
Yeah.
They could last fucking 10, 12 hours if the people know how to play. I mean, it goes quicker if you have a Joe on the...
Sure.
So you can take him out.
I personally hate this because usually when I play, by the end of it, I'm always lighting $100 bills and lighting my cigarettes with that. And my friends hate it.
Does no one get to be the banker now?
Yeah, now, like, there's like a machine where you swipe. That's the fucking banker's
So here's the thing.
ATM.
That keeps you from stealing.
That's the worst part.
Because you ever been playing, you look over and go, where'd you get this fucking 500?
Don't worry about it.
You're fucking getting crushed in this game. And now you're telling me you're buying hotels with some 500s I never fucking saw? And they're like, I fucking saved this. I keep it under the board.
It's not my fault you're not paying attention.
What was did you have a go-to Monopoly piece that you always picked?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the shoe for the fucking speed of it all.
I like the dog.
What is like the top hat?
Yeah, the top hat, the race car, and the shoe are for boys.
Yeah.
The dog,
thimble,
and iron would be for girls. They have a battleship, which made zero fucking sense to me, so I never went to. I don't remember the wheelbarrow.
Yeah, it was a wheelbarrow.
I don't remember that one for some reason.
I don't either.
I do like that shoe now I'm looking back at it.
Yeah, it's a good-looking shoe.
The shoe is badass. And the weird thing about it, that was like a pre-Adidas and pre-Puma.
Yeah.
Pre-Nike shoe.
That was just like an old leather shoe.
It's a Depression era shoe.
Yeah, and yet it looks very fucking cool.
Yeah,
like,
that looks
you
like
could
a
turn that
stylish
into a cool sneaker. I don't remember the wheelbarrow at all. I have a feeling that had to be new.
I feel like I
Just to make
always went between top hat and thimble, though. I liked those two.
Thimble felt good.
Yeah, because you could play with it.
Yeah. Top hat seems strange. I mean, for me, it's just out of the times.
The iron just sucked.
Oh, yeah, I never wanted the iron.
No, I never wanted the iron either, but I would also do this it would be my go-to joke as I'm clicking along, counting myself. If somebody was on that, I would hit them off the board.
You would do that.
Yeah, because it was so funny to do. And if someone was in jail and I was just visiting, I would act like, hey, how's that? Do you need anything? But here's another thing about me. I am playing in those bullshit, throw money on the fucking board and you go to community chest and you could win that
Free
money.
parking.
That's fucking bullshit.
I always thought that was a real rule because I saw my parents
Read the
play.
fucking rule book, dude. They have it. It's little.
So wait, this is where the people say you get to pick up the community
money and all that?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
There's
it
no
doesn't-
free money in the middle. That's for fucking, well, I'm not going to say what we called it. We called it something, in hindsight now, that seems bad. I didn't even realize that till this second. But we would say, we're not those kind of people.
Right.
We play the right way. We're these kind of people who don't do that. Let's go over here to JR. JR.
Hey, Ron. In the late 90s, early 2000s, PlayStation 1 had a Monopoly game and a Risk game. And my buddies used to sit up all night and play. It was fun.
Yeah, I can't imagine wanting to
I play a lot
do
of
that
Risk.
on a
PlayStation.
fucking video game. I mean, you could just go and play Madden football. And what's the best NBA game?
NBA 2K.
Still?
Yeah, that's the franchise. Or I guess it's 2K16 or 17 now.
Look it up for me because I'm going to go. I'm out of season. I'm not going to play fucking football anymore.
You can't. I mean, it's kind of like teasing yourself.
Do you play the NBA one?
Yeah.
I think this one's directed by Spike Lee. I think you play as Spike Lee
What do you
also.
mean you're directed by?
He was like he's
They
all
put
over
his
this thing.
name on it. He's not directing.
I believe he directed
a
it,
fucking
Ron.
video game, dude.
I believe he directed the cutscenes.
I'll be playing Golden State every fucking week.
Fuck yeah, drain that shit.
Oh God!
Yeah, Spike Lee
sounds
joint.
like he's talking about his fucking cock.
No, not penis. 3-pointers.
Is that what you're talking about, though?
No.
Chris,
I'm a dick.
Why were you doing that?
I don't know. I feel crazy. Not sleeping.
What were you swatting at when nothing was there?
There was definitely like a particle in the air in front of me.
No,
Dude,
there
that's
wasn't.
fucking DTs.
Also, we should break. We haven't broken yet today.
It's Bennington Show.
Oh.
Hey, it's the Bennington Show. Ron Bennington. Gail Bennington. Did you happen to see the Vulture article out on Chris Gethard? Chris Gethard actually wrote it about why he picks New York over L.A.
I didn't get to read it, but I saw that it was up.
He's amazing.
I just love Chris Gethard.
Everyone does.
I adore that Chris Gethard.
When's his new season start?
Pretty soon.
Yeah. I'll find out.
You don't have to. We'll just know that we'll mention it before it starts. We'll try to tweet that out for you as well. It's a long article that he wrote, and it's great, and it's cool, and it's fun. And it is kind of that thing about New York that there are certain people, they got New York in their blood, and once that happens, it's tough to, live a different lifestyle.
It's entirely different, even than living in any other city, even any other northeastern city. But I think that there are people I know, friends of mine from the West Coast, that they felt that their personalities were so West Coast that they'd never quite fit in here, could never really come up to speed.
Yeah.
And I think that if I were to live out in the West Coast, I would have a similar feeling that my personality would still be pretty standout East Coast.
You know what, though? I feel like I could live anywhere.
Yeah.
I feel like I could easily move to Texas. I could easily move to the mountains. I just would do it. I just don't have this thing of, and I don't know why, but it never we do it this way there. I just don't give a fuck,
You feel like you could adjust to any style.
I just feel like I'm myself. I'm not that much of,
a product of the environment.
I would miss certain things, but then I would like certain things. I think I think it's like when people act like they could only date certain types of people. Like, no, you just have to find out what's interesting about the other people. Like people who act like they could only be with cool people then they can't be that cool themselves.
If you require coolness around you.
If you can't hang out with fucking dicks and nerds and still be fucking cool, then you're not fucking cool, dude. Look at, speaking of not cool, Hillary and Bernie. Dead heat between the two of them.
Jesus.
Dead heat.
Who thought that it was going to be that close between them? It's
nobody.
Pretty weird.
It's just that people are they thought it was a slam dunk for her, but everyone's just kind of burnt on the Clintons and don't feel like, dealing with them. Doesn't mean that it won't get lit up as we get closer, but as of right now, no one cares. The Republicans just got to make sure that they don't fucking set it up. So they just hand this thing directly to Hillary because they could by acting like dicks over this Scalia thing.
Yeah.
You know what? We get it. Obama killed Scalia. You don't like that? You should have protected him better. You know what I mean? You should have had two on that fucking dude at all times.
I mean, he's found with a pillow over his face. The justice of the peace just declared him dead without seeing the body. This is so fucking weird.
But here's the weird thing. How come his own family didn't ask for something if they thought something was weird?
Exactly. No autopsy, nothing. This is
but you're saying exactly like I'm on your side. I'm just the exact opposite of you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. If someone said, "Oh, we found your dad with a pillow over his fucking head, laying on it," I'd be like, "Would you quick do an autopsy? I want to find out what the fuck went down."
This whole thing stinks. Something fucking went down because they said
your theories stink. You can't just say something went down without proving it. There's no proof to this at all, and the proof would have had to come out from the Scalia family. Now,
there's no proof, although when I found out about it, when I heard that Scalia had passed away, immediately I thought, whoa, the conspiracies are going to fly because of just the very short time, the timing of it coming at the end of Obama's term. I felt like, this is going to be very
this
quickly.
Is the weird thing. First of all, there isn't anything out there that any normal thinking person is bringing up.
Right.
2, Justice Scalia lived the exact kind of opposite life to have this Marilyn Monroe conspiracy death. I think that this would really fucking freak him out. Is like, this is what I'm going to be known for? this weird, stupid thing. Here's Lamar in Ohio.
Hey, Benningtons, what's going on today?
Hey.
I was just wondering if you guys heard about Paul McCartney getting shut out of that party or turned away from that Grammy party that Tiger was throwing, and how crazy that was.
I just didn't have any feelings about it whatsoever. I don't know why he's out at a party at his age.
What was the reason for turning him away from it?
They didn't know him.
Yeah.
Well, he was not only there by himself, he was there with Beck also, and somebody else from the Foo Fighters.
Yeah, but look, yeah, but they weren't going to a fucking party of anybody that would know him. I remember years ago, I guess it was a Grammy thing. I'm watching Twitter, hashtag, whatever the Grammys was, when McCartney did that Valentine song. Mm-hmm. And Twitter was like, who did a soul bitch? You know what I mean? They're not from his learning tree,
Right.
If you're what was the fucking idiot's poet the other night that everybody
Kendrick Lamar.
Thank you. If you're of that school, why would you know who Paul McCartney is?
And why is Paul McCartney going to Tiger? Like, Tiger's like less than. Like, he's like known more for fucking who he dates than his rapping ability. So why when I read Paul McCartney's again to a party, and then Tiger's party? Why was he there in the first place?
I don't think anybody knew that this would have been a good thing for them.
Yeah, I'm surprised that it even was something that was on his radar, let alone something that he would have agreed to do.
I mean, to me, this is the kind of shit when you're looking for coke. It isn't when, what are you looking for, Paul?
Like,
what are you out for? You're not out for pussy. You're not out for coke. You're not even out for alcohol. What are you going to Tigers for?
There's no one left to network with if this was like an industry.
You're Paul McCartney. You don't need to network. You're the reason there is a network. Fucking act like it. But yeah, to me, going to Tiger's party is like him trying to go up to someone's house. Hey, can I come in here? They don't know you, dude.
Maybe there was a cover. He couldn't handle it.
There is just think of you're over in Brooklyn and it's some fucking hipsters, right? And Taj Mahal fucking shows up. They're not going to know him. They don't study the fucking blues. Why are we judging Tig and his fucking posse for not knowing who this old white British guy is?
I remember somebody had done one of those videos where they showed kids on the street like, oh, let's worry for our youth because they don't know who the Beatles are. And they kept going around, but it was all young black kids. And I was like, of course they don't. Like, why would you even be shocked by that? That's like, why would that even be the requirement that you would think?
First of all, they also don't know who Otis Redding is. They don't have a fucking sense of musical history. They don't give a shit. It all starts with rap for them because rap is not tied in with the past. It's a separate thing.
I think that is kind of interesting, though. I've known friends who had the same thing where they were saying that culturally they didn't feel like their parents passed on music to them that way. The same way that white parents do that.
That is the biggest fucking bullshit thing in the world because no one needs to pass on music to you.
Right.
Just go find music. Don't be some fucking, my dad didn't fucking play sniffing the tears at our house. So just fucking go. If you enjoy music, you'll find it. That's like saying no one told you what candy to eat either. You fucking went out and found it. I could say my parents never taught me anything about opiates. Didn't bother me. I was able to find out where to get. So that thing of somehow it's the older gen. Yeah, blame them for not handing down certain traditions. But there are kids. Look, if you're into pop music or if you're into hip hop, you're not necessarily interested by the history of either one of those things.
Right. That's true. And it's interesting that more often young white kids have a better history of black music of previous.
Always been that way.
Yeah, of previous.
Always been that way.
Generations. It's strange.
Like when I went to see like a John Lee Hooker or a B.B. King, there wasn't black people there.
Yeah.
There would be a couple older black dudes, but mainly it was young white guys.
Yeah.
Young white guys have always cared about it more than even women. Women never have had a major care about that kind of stuff.
That genre of music, you mean?
Any genre of music, the history of it, collecting it, whatever. It's generally more of the same kind of the way young white guys pay attention to stats.
You really think that's true? You don't think that women like older music more than men? You think men more often do?
Music that is outside of their generation for them to perceive and wonder who's on what label and who did what, I think is generally a white male.
Yeah, it's weird. I've never really thought of it that way, and maybe that's because it's my own personal experience, but you certainly associate pop music with young white girls, like teenage white girls is usually the current music, what's happening.
Yeah.
That's strange. I never really considered
You've
that.
always went out of your way, if you're a record company, to sell music to young girls, particularly white girls, because they obsess upon it, that current thing.
And even, it's kind of interesting, even women who are older, who like older music or like the music of their generation, tend to have a better knowledge of current pop music.
Soccer moms.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah. Well, that's because they still listen to top 40 radio.
Right.
A lot of the reasons that they're with their children, so they like to sing along with their kids. They love to sing along with their kids. But even if they're alone, women, soccer moms, tend to know the pop song of the era and then drop it just like when they were little. I mean, They don't hold on to it. They're not sitting around thinking about Cisco now.
Right.
You know what I mean? But when that fucking Cisco song came out, they were obsessed with it. But I mean, if you look at like, let's say Uptown Funk, right?
Mm-hmm.
As big as that got, those people were able to drop that just as quickly. You can see there's not heat around that music now the way there was then.
Yeah.
Now, for white guys, if you come out and you did a fucking Skynyrd song from 73, they would just be as excited as they were in 73.
Right.
If you fucking come out and started fucking give me back my bullets, you're like, fuck yeah! You saw the way older white guys were going crazy for Ace of Spades the other night, even when the Hollywood vampires were doing it. Now, I don't know exactly why all those things are, but I think they're absolutely true. And I think men have a tendency to be completely confused about what's being played right now.
Yeah, women always tend to, and like you said, moms tend to be more connected to their kids' music. Like a mom can tell you, oh yeah, they like this,
I feel
and
like
they
they
like
force
this.
it on them, if you want to know the truth. I think they force those songs on those kids. Hey, coming up, March the 11th, it's Unmasked with Louie Anderson, who I believe is the best thing on TV today on the show Patches. He's just amazing in that. It's Friday, March 11th, 11 a.m. Hey, big stars call in here all the time, but no one as big as this man. It's Jay Moore. Hello, Jay.
Hello, Ronnie. It's Russell Brand. I'm wondering when I could be on your Unmasked. I enjoy it, frankly. Sitting down, two men, two hearts beating as one, getting together, getting to the root of a problem, and solving it. It's beautiful. And look at your daughter. Is she real? It's wonderful. Two hearts like the Dalai Lama and Che Guevara and Malcolm X and Christ. Am I comparing myself to these gentlemen? Yes, in a way, but let me finish, right? We're all martyrs. We all begin the birth and the death and decaying process at the same time, but that's what makes life beautiful, Ronnie. It's fleeting. It goes away. Let's embrace one another. The Unmasked with Louie Anderson. He's wonderful.
The last time I saw Louie, you were in with him.
That's right.
Wait, Russell or Jay? I got confused.
Yes, you.
How much more VIP do we have to get? I love Paul McCartney getting bounced from Tiger's party. But the best thing is, who the fuck is your publicist that Paul McCartney gets taken behind the building, has to wait where, like, bums piss for a bouncer to go, hey, Paul McCartney's here? I don't know. Some guy named Paul McCartney. And he gets rejected twice because they thought they were at the Mark Ronson party. They thought that's bad people around you, Ron.
Yeah, somebody should, even at his age, somebody should be with him at all times anyway. You know?
They are.
You shouldn't just let him wander off.
Oh, I thought we were at the party for Cisco.
I saw him walking down the street, Paul McCartney, all by himself without another person. And then I told Eastside Dave, I go, you just missed it. Paul McCartney was here. He's like about a block away. And I watched Dave run at him to the fact that when he got close, Paul McCartney backed up as if...
Yeah, he has a history of obviously being concerned about that.
Yes.
Why would he do that to him?
Yeah, it's Dave, because you go, like, if you and I, Ronnie, were walking around Midtown, you go, Paul McCartney. I might circle back,
Right.
But Dave, you tell that, and he goes, oh, my God.
It's literally what he did, and he ran very high kneed at him. And
really?
Jay, I was telling these guys that when you were in with Louie Anderson, you told a story about just how sweet Louie was to your wife when she was a little girl. Wait,
Ronnie, I'm at McDonald's. You want something?
Yeah.
Burgers, French fries, and a Coke. And what do you want, Ronnie?
Just any of the breakfasts. I understand they're doing it 24 hours a day now.
Is it too late to get a fish sandwich? You guys got a fish sandwich? Is it too late to get a fish sandwich? So can I get a fish sandwich right now? Huh? Yeah, I want a fish sandwich. 2 cheeseburger, French fry, Coke, and a fish sandwich if it's not too early. That's it. That's all I need.
All right, Ronnie.
He's 11 a.m. looking for a fish sandwich out there.
Only because you said it. But I'll take it with pride.
Yeah.
Louie Anderson's the sweetest. Am I good to go, brother? All right. Live radio, man. Come on. Tighten it up.
Don't get mad at the man. He's just doing his job. He stands at a register, working for the giant conglomerate under the umbrella for the man, paying his bills, doing his taxes. Louie Anderson is maybe the single kindest, beautiful human that's ever lived on God's green earth. And you just want to hold him. He's just beautiful, 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 beautiful soul.
Have you seen him on this Baskets playing Zach Galifianakis'?
No, not yet. It's on Thursdays, right?
You are going to fucking... he slays it. He kills it.
Oh, he's in town, too. Ronnie, what you said about the moms loving, like, the hip-hop and stuff and the white kids, like, when I saw John Lee Hooker at House of Blues, it was all white people.
Yeah.
Like you said. But the other thing, too, is... Did you see my tweets to Kanye last night, Ronnie?
No.
I think you'll enjoy it. I answered every single thing he said on his timeline, but not malicious.
Yeah.
Like, Paul's the greatest messenger of all time. And I go, of the first century. I go, probably second, Christ first, maybe. Probably close, though. Your call, bro. Every single one. But, like, we get fed, like, when people go, like, who's the next great comic? And it's like, well, whoever Vanity Fair tells us it's going to be. That's just who it is. That's how it works. While people like Louis C.K., me, Louie Anderson, guys never stop digging in the trenches. But I'm tired of being told that Beyonce is the hottest woman alive. I'm sorry. It's too bizarre for words.
Yeah.
What's the buy? She looks like Earl Campbell.
Earl Campbell now or Earl Campbell in the 70s?
Oh, Earl Campbell when he was standing up. Poor Earl Campbell. But it's like the most beautiful woman ever, the greatest album of all the pretty ladies, all the pretty ladies. It's a nursery rhyme. Abbey Road's the greatest album of all time. Bro, I sound like Randy Warwick. You never even met this guy, Ronnie. He's great. You ever meet me?
No.
Bro, Eastside Dave's an alcoholic. He'll have like 15 beers. He headbutted Sir Paul when he met him, and Sir Paul got a bloody nose. We had to take him to Roosevelt Island because the hospital knows. But you know what? Dave's a good guy, though.
It sounds like a Florentine thing.
That's the problem with this guy. Maybe I got to make his voice higher, and that'll go more towards Chris Penn, which you'll like a lot because, bro, it is a little Florentine, but, Jim Florentine's great. I was in Chihuahua, Mexico with Florentine. This guy punched a police horse in the face and slit his throat, drank his fucking blood, listening to Sabbath. But you know what? Florentine's a family man, bro. He's all right.
I agree with you, Ronnie, on everything you say. And your beautiful daughter, the whole thing never happened. We know that, right?
Right. Never happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you just move along like we're all drunks. You know what I mean? Like we don't bring up an old drunk.
No.
Bro, that's why I stay drunk, dude.
Yeah, the Grammys were weird. Why was Pitbull's wearing gloves on stage? I thought that was a little odd.
I don't get Pitbull's thing. He's like the uncle of everybody. I'd never understand that whole deal.
Pitbull's the one who brought Manny's mom out? Is that
Yeah,
Pitbull?
Manny's mom was there from Modern Family. And no Manny, though. It would have been great if Manny would have showed up.
That would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Little Manny.
Yeah.
I wish Manny Pacquiao showed up and said, playing gay dog to us.
I wish Manny sang gay.
This fucking moron, fucking dope, says gay people are less than dogs, and then he expounds, Ronnie, on his gay, theories. There's one thing I need a Filipino senator to educate a metropolis entertainer on. It's the ways of the homosexual.
Right.
He said, you don't see a boy dog and boy dog having gay boy dog sex. So I'm like, have you ever fucking seen a dog, you idiot? That's all they do. You can't dog to the dog part. The lipstick comes out of the case, and they stab each other in the eyes. They don't even have the right end. They're just rib punching each other. Bing, 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 bang, bang. You see that goddamn dog? Look, I don't care how long you think that shepherd's going to be on top of my jet carrier, but you better tell him to stop and get his cock back away, or my Pitbull's going to eat all of them.
Jay, I got to go to break, buddy. I love you,
Bye,
pal.
buddy. Love you. Hey, Lil Bennington.
Yeah.
I love you, darling. You're beautiful. You're your daddy's girl. His blood is your blood. That makes all of us the blood, the same blood of Christ.
That's beautiful.
The great Jay Moore. Always great when all of them call.
Yeah.
At the same time. We're right back. Who do we got stopping in here today, Gail?
We've got Dave Hill stopping in.
Exciting.
I'm very excited.
Jay Moore to Dave Hill. It's a big show we're doing
It's
today.
huge. Huge. It's huge.
Huge. Wait, Steve wants to jump in and says he's blaming women on this music thing. Steve, Alabama.
Hey, yeah. I when you're saying that, I thought about the Grammys and me making just shitty comments, snide comments about what's going on, and my wife getting pissed off. And I think it just boils down to women in general don't take music that seriously. And men, or younger men like me, tend to get really wrapped up in it and maybe get too like Pitbull. I'm saying I think I said, what the fuck is Pitbull doing? Closing out the Grammys, and that was about the 40th comment I had made, and she goes, people like Pitbull. Just shut the fuck up. People like Pitbull. Who gives a fuck? And I guess that's true or whatever. But like when that Pentatics or whatever the fuck that group is sang with Stevie Wonder, I had to get up and then take the dog for a walk. I mean,
First of all, I'm going to send you into the pretty good prize closet because you deserve to go for loving music so much.
It's the pretty good prize. It's the pretty good prize closet. We have pretty good prizes. It's the pretty good prize. It's the pretty good prize closet. We have good prizes.
What's up, Steve? How you doing today, buddy? You win the signed CD, Learning to Dance, signed by Jack Tempchin.
Boy, see a classic rock guy like him. Okay, all right. Let me just jump into this. As he's saying, women don't take it as serious as men, and yet the entire record business is driven now and always has been driven by the hopes, desires, and aspirations of young women. You can't have a gigantic selling band without young women being the driving force of that.
Yeah. But I also think that part of that has to do with being in love with music in general. I don't think it's all completely... I think that they get wrapped up in the moment, almost like a little love affair with a band
we love music differently. There's no doubt about that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think in the 60s, young women argued Beatles or Stones. They tended to love whichever band they loved, or maybe both. I think it's more like men are more likely to go, yes, but who is the greatest guitar player of all time? I don't think a woman would start that conversation. She might join in.
Right.
But the general woman, they don't want to rank and classify everything the way men do.
Right.
Men do want to do that. Now, it doesn't make it right. But if Jay Moore came and hung out today, we would end up ranking like 15 different things. We do that.
Right. And I think that they pass less judgment too on the side of that when somebody says, you know, oh, I like this band better. I like this album better. You know, they're a little bit less of a pain in the ass to be, oh, that's the worst answer you could ever give.
But does that mean that they're less passionate? Because you could also say, look, if you don't have a gatekeeper to this, it doesn't matter to you. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Like, yeah, the other day, we were sitting around watching that kid from Orlando dunk the ball after putting it under his legs.
Right.
I've watched it 22 times since. It's great. Then I went back and watched the Vince Carter's, tried to work out in my mind. Even before I get to Dominique, is this the greatest dunk ever? I'm trying to figure out if it's the greatest dunk ever. I think a woman would go, oh, that was pretty amazing, but not want to then go back and try to clarify a list. Even if it's just for their own head, let's do the top 5 dunks of all time.
That's why the approach has to be much more emotional for women, and for men, it's like, who won that? Who's the winner? Who's on top? Who's better?
Well, I actually said to someone yesterday, a friend of mine, it's too early to consider whether it was the greatest dunk of all time. And then I said, how can it be the greatest dunk of all time if he didn't win the whole thing outright? Which then became back, as he stated, we were cheating for a lighter skinned black. And it became political that quickly.
At least he got out in the open.
But it is a good point. If that's the greatest dunk of all time, how did the guy lose?
It's not. You got to win the competition.
I don't know. I think it's the greatest dunk I've ever seen. I think it's flat out the greatest dunk I've ever seen. Even if you're going to say the other guy's 5 dunks are better, you know, it's easy enough to be able to see. Like, let's suppose you were in the World Series. Your team lost 17-1. The one was you hitting the ball out of Yankee Stadium, and it went into a helicopter, and it's still fucking going. We could call that the greatest home run of all time, even though it's meaningless. It's meaningless in terms of the game, but it's very meaningful in terms of you just have a one-off with that. But going back to my point, I don't think women care about putting together the perfect band. I don't think they care who's the greatest rhythm section of all time.
But that's just a different way of caring about things. That's
the worst way.
But that's only from the perspective of a man. It's like if you're coming at it from a different angle. And of course, we're speaking in stereotypes. Like, are there women out there who love
absolutely.
to discuss technical stuff? Are there men out there who could care less about these exact things?
Vito has the musical and even movie and everything thing of a woman. He thinks like, oh, I went to see it.
Not a negative.
I liked it, and now I'm done with it. And we'll like, but what did you like about it? Why is it important? You know, he does so. And then I do know women who will sit around and think about music, art, culture, and want to put them in little boxes where they're going to be safe from the outside world.
Now we've fixed this problem. We have.
I would say this. I think you think more like a man in that way. If you think that I've insulted Vito by saying he thinks more like a woman, by saying you think more like a man, is that insulting to you?
No, I don't think. I don't think it is.
Compliment, right?
No,
Feels really good.
It's just a thing to say.
Now let's go have a catch in the backyard.
I've been waiting for this moment.
This is it. Gonna have a real catch. By that, you mean you actually have to catch it, though.
Oh, yeah, not
And
just get close or pick it up.
Yeah, and focus on that. Let's talk about baseball itself and that other thing.
I don't have to throw it, though. I can catch it, but the upper arm strength isn't so good.
Dave Hill is here. Explain, Dave, to everybody. I know you've been a gigantic fan forever.
Yes, Dave Hill is a comedian, and he also is on WFMU. He has the goddamn Dave Hill Show, which airs Mondays at 9 p.m. He does great stuff down at UCB. He has a show that he does there once a month. He's got a new book coming out, which is Dave Hill Doesn't Live Here Anymore. It comes out May 10th and is available for pre-order on Amazon.com.
And he's a rock and roll star.
He's a rock and roll star. He's
written the theme for the new John Oliver show, which is very, very catchy.
It's a very catchy tune.
Dave Hill does everything.
He does everything. He's a man of many skills.
Oh, there it is. Thought there was going to be a word I've never heard before.
I thought there was.
Yeah.
What is that? A jack of all trades, maybe, is what I was trying to go for.
Yeah, if this was 1954, that would be a wonderful thing to throw out. Why don't we break? We'll be back with Dave Hill. This is Bennington.
We're back with the Bennington Show, and we've got Dave Hill in studio. The goddamn Dave Hill Show airs Monday at 9 p.m. on WFMU. Go to WFMU.org for more information. Dave's new book, Dave Hill Doesn't Live Here Anymore, comes out May 10th and is available now for pre-order on Amazon.com. And Dave is performing Pretty Much the Best Comedy Show Saturday, February 20th at Proctor's Underground in Schenectady, New York at 8 p.m. Go to DaveHillOnline.com for all additional dates, and you can follow him on Twitter at Mr. Dave Hill. So great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
It's so exciting that you have a new book.
Yeah, I'm psyched. Hopefully, people will like it.
I read your last book, Tasteful Nudes.
Oh.
And I was there at your
for reading it.
Your book signing party that you did.
Where at
the Bell House,
Cool.
which was a blast. Do you have something planned big?
Yeah,
or?
I'm going to do, I don't know if I'm going to do like a thing like that again, but I'm going to do a bunch of bookstores and more low key.
But you know what? We were talking about you being a Renaissance man before you got here, or
thanks.
Or as Gail said, jack of all trades, as if you were a carpenter and
I'm bad at that stuff.
I think that's still all trades.
If I could have just done that song in my life, everything else I wouldn't have cared what else. If I could have just done one great song, in my life,
that's what I think about music. I mean, like I don't know if that's the best song really, but yeah, I think it's cool if you can write one good song. I don't know if I've done it yet, but
you really don't feel like that as a song that you're like completely like, oh man.
I don't think it came out as good as it should have, which is my fault.
I wonder if everybody feels that way. I wonder if Dylan like listens to early shit that we all think is just genius and goes, "Oh God."
I bet he probably is like, "No, this is pretty awesome."
You think so? You think he gets it?
I read an interview where they were like, "Did you know, like, when you were when you're just getting started, that you were going to be like who you are?" And he's like, "Yeah, I kind of knew."
I kind of got it.
And but I think that about everything. I mean, comedy, writing, everything. Even like buying coffee in the morning, I view everything as like a failure. Like I'll get coffee. I'll go, just see the same girl I see every morning. I'll be like, oh, really blew that. Like just blew that human interaction. I'll walk out of here and be like, well, never be hearing from them again.
All right, we're inviting you back tomorrow.
Thank you.
Just to get that out of the way.
Okay, good.
Have this as your only success.
I'll have lunch with like friends I've known for 20 years, and I'll be like, well, they're probably deleting my number after
That's
that.
it right now. Well, I never sit around and can listen to best ofs or whatever, but I wonder, would Bowie just go like, oh, let me turn off Rebel Rebel. I don't want to hear me doing that.
I don't know. I bet he's probably, if I were him, I would have been listening to, I would have been like, put a mix together for my last hours of just all the awesome, of anybody, him more than anybody.
I like that you said it his last hours, as if he was there in the last hours going, let's get over this, okay? So I did Hunky Dory. It's an amazing album. I think we all agree.
Check, bam.
Yeah. I think Aladdin is, I still love Aladdin Sings. I don't care
great.
that people blow it off. It's still for Panic in Detroit alone. That's perfect.
Well, he's like in that category of like, he's done so much amazing stuff that when something is like an A-, it's just like, oh my God, what happened?
Yeah, and he has songs where you go, what the fuck? Why would he put that out? You know what I mean? Like, that's not a great one.
Well, I was even thinking, because, when during the Grammys tribute that Lady Gaga did, and she was focusing so much on the 80s Bowie, and I've always been like, if you like 80s Bowie best, that says a lot about. But if you listen
it's nice
to
that she didn't do a Madonna tribute like she normally does.
But if you listen to 80s Bowie, it still was great for that genre. Like, he still was doing incredible music. It's just you're only comparing him to a different Bowie. You're like, oh, I like a different Bowie.
But you know what's amazing? I listen to any 80s music, and it sounds like they're doing Bowie. Like, no one was saying at the time, by the way, we wouldn't be playing this kind of music if it wasn't for Bowie. But it's true.
Yeah.
No matter who you were.
And there's also, I think, a lot of just production stuff of, not to get nerdy about it, but just nerdy. Like, you go into a studio and everyone's like, if Nile Rodgers there or whoever, and he's going to just do that thing to everybody.
Yeah, that Nile thing.
That bastard. Yeah. No, he's done all right for himself, too, I think.
Yeah. But you know what? That guy, I met him, he came in and, hung out here one day, and that guy gives off a weird glow. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like, he is a little bit magical in his
totally.
happy guitar.
I would think. I've never met him, but.
Yeah. There's just something about, like, he plays, you might not even like the song, you go, kind of in a better mood.
Yeah.
He hits better mood chords. I don't know how he does it. Yeah.
Now, I wonder if he would contribute that to himself. Because I feel like that's pretty common. Most artists don't look back on their life and think of it in a positive way. Like, I think of Kurt Vonnegut and how I don't know if you've ever read this, but he wrote a piece about grading each one of his books.
Right. That's
and
great.
He went through each one. And some of them he doesn't give a terrible grade to, but none of them are like A+. But my personal favorite, I think, I think he gave Slaughterhouse 5, like a B or something. Like, he had like gone through. Yeah. But he gave a lot of D's. He gave a lot of D grades.
Yeah, but wouldn't you be bummed out if he was giving himself A's and stuff? Like, I think it's cool that he's like, gives like Slaughterhouse 5 a B.
I think it says a lot when you're anyone who is criticizing their own stuff. I think if you
so it's almost like it's better if you're harder on yourself than if you're
or at least you're in good company.
Yeah. Well, who I can't think of anyone who is just thinks they're awesome and is awesome. I mean, you know what I mean? Usually when people think they're awesome, like Kanye West, to me is unlistenable.
That's a very interesting thing. Kanye West is the one guy who says, I just put out the best album of all time.
He can't carry Chuck D's lunch or anyone from 94 and before that, basically.
And yet, but do you think that he even believes the things that he's saying, or is he saying out of just a blind panic? Because I look at his eyes and he looks like he's about to be arrested most of the time.
Yeah. It's hard to tell how much of that is just the character that he created for himself and how much of that is truthfully just like insecurities coming out and kind of creating it himself. Like, I don't know
I
how
hope
much of
it's
it
a
is.
character. I mean, I hope he like comes home and shuts the door and puts on like a pair of khaki pants and they're just like, got him again today.
He's just been running this grift all these years. He's Andy at this point, just running a long grift. You wanted to plug?
Yeah, Dave Hill in studio with us. The Goddamn Dave Hill Show airs Monday at 9 p.m. on WFMU. Go to WFMU.org for more information. And Dave's new book, Dave Hill Doesn't Live Here Anymore, comes out May 10th and is available for pre-order on Amazon.com.
All right, so since we're already into this angle of this thing, what would be like the coolest thing to create something great? Would it be a novel? Would it be a painting? Would it be an album? Would it be a movie? I don't even know or a play. You write a great play, musical.
I think for me,
Yeah.
if you could say like you wrote the great American novel,
Still can't get over
I think that. I think that
I
that's
think
gotta
so too. Plus, it has the least. I think books are the one thing that you can't, like, movies and music and almost anything else, like, can be sort of swallowed up by like our culture, or like the whole, like, you can't watch some movies like Casablanca and be like, I'm totally watching this objectively, because
Right.
like by the time, unless you saw it when it came out or whatever, which you'd be dead probably, I guess, by now. But when did it come out? I don't even know.
That'd be
Let's
like
run a check on it.
39, 40, 45.
You'd still be alive. But you, by the time you see it, so many things, like really great things, like you already have all these things, like expectations, like I'm supposed to think this about that, and you know.
Right.
But a book, like you still can pick it up and just be like, huh, okay.
And it's
like,
entirely
have your own thoughts about it.
contributed to you. You know, if you make a great film, you can say there were great actors in it, the cinematography. You can add a lot of other elements. When it's a book, you kind of see that as the artist. You don't
No one
feel
ever
like
brings
they're
up the editor in the same way that you think of other.
Right.
And I'm sure
But they
editors
are
have-
helpful.
Yeah, I'm sure they are, but
And they're
they
good.
They never get any of the same kind of praise that a cinematographer would get for working on a movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I always think, and maybe I'm naive, but I always think it's a scam that the writer never gets. No one, I mean, unless you really are into film, no one knows who wrote anything. But to
Right.
me, it's such a huge.
It's very rare. Usually only if there also happen to be a director do most people pay attention to it. There's a couple writers.
The auteur gets the full thing of being a genius, but no one will. I mean, how many people do you think are known just as being a screenwriter?
Charlie Kaufman,
who actually went on to direct. Who wrote Marty? The guy who wrote Marty is considered one of the greatest of all time. I think it's a Polish name or Russian name. Just put
Chayefsky.
Patty Chayefsky. He probably, for a guy who never directed or even produced, just handed in the screenplay. And then he would actually be pissed if someone started changing lines.
Yeah,
What are you, nuts? I just gave you a fucking Patty Chayefsky. I just handed you Marty. Now you're going to say we need another scene here? You're out of your mind.
and then it's expected with screenwriting. It's expected that people will mess with it a lot. Whereas a playwriting is viewed very differently. Like that is like the sacred work, and you don't mess with it if you.
Why is that though?
I don't know. The playwright has much more power in theater than the screenwriter ever has or will.
Because of like Hollywood. I mean, because they just go. I mean, look at everything about Hollywood. It's just like people patting themselves on the back. So of course the writer, the first guy in the whole process, is just going to be like, get the fuck out of here. Who was that guy? I don't give a shit. Like, we got the script.
They literally almost act like the script was shit when it got here, but we all took turns fucking with it. But, you know, the weird thing is, I don't know if I could look at a script and tell that it's a good script. You know what I mean? The way that obviously, if you can fall into a novel, you can fall into even a short story or a memoir. But when you're reading a script, you're like, what? What is going on? Who's this guy?
Well, it's because it's a visual medium. It's very hard to read something that's meant to be visual.
Mm-hmm.
If you're reading a novel, you're given all the information. You feel like you're given all the information you're supposed to have.
Right.
But when you're reading a screenplay, you don't feel that way.
I feel like plays, when you read those, so you can get into them. And weirdly, I think I've read way more plays than I've ever seen. I rarely go see plays, but I love reading them.
I would probably agree with that too, because most of the time, if it's a great playwright, how often are you going to get the opportunity, to see like the Glass Menagerie? You're like, when is that going to come up in my life? I might as well read it now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have any other chance to fucking experience this.
But that's also because it's predominantly dialogue driven. So you can kind of get in the mode of reading like the characters speaking back and forth, and you can kind of get that cadence.
Yeah, there's not
but then because of
close up.
Exactly.
Jump cut.
And it's like reading technical stuff is not that interesting.
Maybe that's what pulls me out every time with a screenplay.
Yeah, it's very difficult to stay into it. And then for some reason, in a way that I think you don't do this with a novel, you feel like you need to be shown what characters look like or see. I mean, you create in your mind when you read a novel what you think a character looks like, even if it's not described very much. You have like an idea.
I like how some novelists don't even bother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They won't even bother to tell you what the characters look like. And you don't even notice.
I think it's funny, they'll throw something in like really like late into the book. They'll just mention that somebody's like older or shorter or
right.
And you're like, that's not what he looks like at all. Why are they even saying this now?
So what is, all right, so I think we're all agreed the novel though, but what is the most common great work? You know what I mean? Is it a painting? Are you more likely to run into great paintings than great movies, great novels, great albums?
I think probably visual art, like painting, because I feel like for the most part, unless you're a person who really knows a lot about visual art, you probably only know it because it's considered a great painting.
Yeah. Well, that's one of those the things like all like Mona Lisa and things like that. You just like last spring, I went to the Louvre in Paris, France. And
that one.
The one there that they have. And it's just like, it's pretty much like, I mean, the Mona Lisa is just a bunch of people documenting, well, like anything.
Yeah.
Now people are just like getting mad at you because you're blocking their shot of them in front of the Mona Lisa, like, and just a million people going like, that is, I guess that's the best. You know, they have no real feeling about it one way or another.
When you saw it in person, was it more striking than you thought it was going to be?
You can't get anywhere near it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a large painting.
It's no bigger than, that TV there. And then you can't, oh my God, you probably get maybe like 50 feet at the closest. And then it's just like Japanese tourists with phones and cameras, like just people walking around the whole museum, just people holding up cameras to stuff.
Weird,
and just being like, I'll just dump this into my computer and I'll have it. I'll never look at it, but I'll have it.
Even though I could just hit Google and see any of these things on my computer. You know what I mean? If you could just hit Google image and we could have it right now. You need to physically sit there.
Yeah. You just, like, I do this show. I'm actually doing it tomorrow now that I'm thinking of it. My friend Carl Arnheider and I do this show at the Met where it's comedians giving a tour of the Met, and like people just take turns, pick different exhibits, and we're always kind of running in there like we're like, oh, we're gonna go fuck around and be idiots in the Met. But every time I go, you can kind of show up in the Met and you're like, oh yeah, there's fucking amazing stuff, and you can't possibly see it all, and like you can't. But if you're just take 1 sec as we're just running around waiting to like do the next set of dick jokes or whatever, you see, all these great works. You're like, whoa, and stuff that you never saw before.
Well, I find it too overwhelming to go into there in no time at all. I feel like I gotta slow down a little bit.
Well,
know?
you can't go in being like, I'm gonna fucking check out.
Yeah.
I think I remember that I can swear, and now I'm like, fuck. Because when I came in here, now I think, because FMU, you can't swear, so I have to like turn off my fucking whatever mechanism. I always talk about this, but like when you do radio in the UK, some stations, like I've gone on, and they'll be like, there's this station like called Sports Talk or something, and they don't talk about, or talk sports, even though they don't talk about sports, but I swear they go like, hey, before we get started, you can say fuck shit and whatever else, but don't say the C word more than once. And I'll be like, well, I wasn't going to, but like now that I can, of course I'm going to say the C word. Cause like you can, you gotta suppress the C word all day, every day in America.
Yeah.
So like you get over there and you're like, I have like 2 years of C words saved up. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, no, I just remembered I could swear, but I'm done. I swear, I'm not going to use the C word.
You still have one C word.
Yeah, I'm not going to because I feel like you can't. And I was just talking about this last night. It's such a satisfying word, just because it's very consonant and percussive.
Yeah.
Same as saying fuck.
Yeah.
You get the CK at the end. Anyway, I think it's a really satisfying word to say, but I feel like it's just not gonna get into the American, because even in the UK, like you can only call other dudes the C word. Like it's still, you can't. I wouldn't want to use it on a woman, but even if I wanted to.
We're getting closer though.
We
like
hope to
I
get
feel like
there.
in the last 10 years,
It used to stop the clock when I was a kid. I mean, it would stop the clock. How dare you?
It's strange how many more people I have heard say it in the
Women
last
took
few.
the word back. They did the same thing.
It's our
Black
word,
guys. Yeah.
so.
Yeah. I think women can easily say it, but it still comes across kind of misogynistic.
Yeah.
If you say it.
It does sound less good coming from a man. Like I say it with friends, I say it with women, and I say it with gay men, and for some reason that's a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah. Even if other people said it, I just like to hear it. I don't even need to say it myself.
Well, like you said, from a Brit, it comes across easier.
Right,
yeah, you're just having a drink.
They're like,
and
oh yeah, it's great.
Oh,
the way
yeah.
he says that. But the two things that I believe have changed over my lifetime the most, men saying that, or women saying that, of course, and then black guys giving oral. I remember when I was younger and we would get high with black guys, we if we wanted to freak them out, we would just talk about it.
They would say, this is not something that's...
No fucking way. Never. Can't do it. And it used to be the greatest thing.
Yeah, I've experienced that.
Yeah.
I mean, the converse, both.
Yeah.
all of it, I've experienced it.
But yeah, I think it does get brought up. Well, certainly like women, like black women in music tend to bring it up a lot as like a thing of power. So it must have come from it previously not being something that was typically received.
No, not at all. Not at all. It was basically where I guess shit eating is now.
Sure.
I think it's the same
Eating,
place.
that's the last frontier. I don't know if we'll get there in our lifetime.
Hopefully we will.
No, I think it's up for the next generation.
I mean, certainly with the other two, we complain a lot about, things used to be better then, but those are two good advancements that you brought up.
Yeah.
These are good.
Yeah.
They seem to be. They seem to work out for people.
Dave Hill's in studio with us. The Goddamn Dave Hill Show airs Monday at 9 p.m. on WFMU. Go to WFMU.org for more information and Dave's new book, Dave Hill Doesn't Live Here Anymore, comes out May 10th and is available now for pre-order on Amazon.com.
But, Dave, commented on your shoes as you can.
Yes.
But Dave always looks like stylized.
He's got a
look.
Just...
Yeah, but you have a casual
elegance.
Yeah, a casual rock star. Like, seriously, I would say this is how Dave Hill dresses, that if Oscar Wilde was around now, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened. It's just like one thing led to another, Velvet and things.
Certain people have style.
Were you a stylish young man?
I don't know if, not really. I don't think I knew like what I No, I mean, like, I had to wear a tie in Catholic school from, like, the age of 10, so you kind of had, like, a uniform.
That's helpful, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's good to... I'm all for, like... This is a whole other tangent, but I think, kids need to be... like,
suppressed.
when I see, like, a 10-year-old walking around Manhattan with, like, hair, like a boy with, like, super long hair... And I hate the parents so much because I know it's their idea and the kid doesn't care really one way or another, but they want to be like, my kid's so rad and I'm cool and we are into the same, like, we're never going to die. It's like, it's coming fast and hard. And, I think all kids should have to have short hair and wear ties.
If you put kids in a suppressive environment, right, then all they have to do to be a rebel is to pull their shirt tail out, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have that form, then they have to smoke crack to be a rebel.
Exactly.
or they go the other way and become like some neoconservative,
right?
Because they're like, well, I could do whatever I wanted, so the only way I can piss my parents and stuff off is going the total other way.
Yeah.
So plus, I think it's like really good, to be like. Either like I went to an all boys Catholic high school and we had to wear all this stuff and haircuts and all that. And like, then you just go like, well, yeah, I guess I'm going to go this route and get a job like my parents want me to, or I'm going to wind up the modern day Oscar Wilde.
I had uniforms in school as well, and I feel like you're right. There's like something very simple you could do to be cool, like if you just did something slightly off, and the same was to be sexy. Like you literally had to roll one extra, roll your skirt up once more, and then you're like, wow, she is.
Yeah,
she's
and
crazy.
everyone
She's
knows
nuts.
who you are for like 5 towns over.
Yeah.
Plus, like I remember like seeing the first time I saw like a lip ring and a nose ring, just being like, whoa, that's really nuts. But now when I see it, I'm like, oh, that guy must live in the suburbs with his parents and he works at the mall. Like it's not shocking at all.
Yeah.
But like, if everyone were to calm down a little bit, you could still break that stuff out and be like the crazy guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but now it just looks like whatever.
Lady Gaga got the Bowie tattoo right before, she went on. You're like, but it doesn't mean shit because you're covered with tattoos. You know what I mean? If you just had never had a tattoo and then said, I'm going to tattoo Bowie on my side before I do this Broadway homage to him, then people would have thought it was amazing. But it doesn't mean shit.
It's very strange how that's happened, that tattoos are no longer, they're not rebellious. They're not even cool or uncool. They're just like a thing that people have because that's what you do. It's just like a norm. There's going to be an entire generation of kids who are like, oh, what tattoos does your mom have?
Yeah.
Because like we're not into that because
mommy should not have tattoos. When you see like some mother like with chest tattoos and they're pushing a baby, no, like I'm whatever, have tattoos. Plus like, and I'm generalizing, but I actually think I'm completely right. Is like women, it seems like especially younger women get like quotes from literature tattooed, usually somewhere, and they're like, it just means so much to me. I'm like, well, why didn't you get it tattooed somewhere where you could possibly read it yourself? It's on your neck. It means you just want to. Plus, like quotes from literature, that's what books are for. You just take the book down and be like, oh yeah, it still gets me. You don't have to like show it to someone at a party.
Dave Hill is in studio with us. The Goddamn Dave Hill Show airs Monday at 9 p.m. on WFMU. Go to WFMU.org for more information. Dave's new book, Dave Hill Doesn't Live Here Anymore, comes out May 10th and is available for pre-order on Amazon.com. And Dave is performing Pretty Much the Best Comedy Show Saturday, February 20th at Proctor's Underground in Schenectady, New York at 8 p.m. DaveHillOnline.com for all additional dates.
All these things that you do, Dave, is there one that you consider yourself above all else? You know what I mean? Of all these...
I mean, like the main... I guess, I mean, I don't know. I just thinking probably just comedy, I guess. Just because it's what I do do the most, because of my day job, even though a lot of it's at night. And music is sort of like... I mean, that's how I started doing that stuff, and like really like just wanted to play in bands, and then I drifted into comedy, and now music is fun because it's like I have zero expectations, like it's just fun. Like no one's like, Dave, when are you going to make another record? I can't possibly. Not that anyone's doing that with anything I do, but with comedy, it's like, oh, I'm doing a pilot, I'm doing this, I'm writing on this, I have a book, there's stuff with other people involved. And with music, I have my band involved and the people that help get the songs on, like John Oliver's show and stuff. Even though in that case, they just called. I just don't want to give anyone else credit. So yeah, comedy, I would say. And then music is just kind of like, is a nice, it's sort of, I don't know, I just like playing the guitar. And like you were saying, like writing like one, it's still like before I die, I'm like, it'd be cool to write one really great song and just be like, oh yeah, that was pretty cool. And that's what I'll listen to when I'm dying.
Yeah.
Over and over.
Your own tune.
Yeah.
If I like a song, I'll listen to the demo that I just made at home on my computer. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm sure I'll ruin it eventually, like I did with that song that you played earlier. Like the demo, I'm like, oh man, that was great. And then you're like, let's get the guys in the studio and get this, really nail this. And you're like, we screwed it up.
I always love to go and listen to demo songs, and you're just like, wow, I didn't realize like how close that is just to being a folk song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so many songs that you hear in the demo version, you're like, James Taylor could have wrote that.
Yeah,
you know
like
what I
if
mean?
you pare things back and all of it is, basic songwriting if you're listening to it in its simple form.
Except for if you're probably Fiona Apple. Because even there, when it's just her and the piano and her voice, I'm like, that sounds awful complicated.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I could never do that.
On.
I could never even begin to think that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I bet like even like someone could like, well, she probably could just sit down and play them, and they're like, but yeah, I think the best songs, it's just so you sit down and it's like super simple, and the ones that don't sound good in that setting probably suck.
But isn't it amazing? Like there's some you're like, well, that's a simple song. He should have worked on it harder. And then I was just the other day heard Lennon Oyoko, and I'm like, perfect. All right, thank you. Done. You know?
But I mean that guy's in like he and McCartney they would just like play t-ball with hits, just like bam. Here's one of the greatest songs of the last 200 years. Bam.
Yeah. And while the other guy was at lunch coming back, he's like, see if you get, I call it a day in the life, but there's something in the middle here. Could you put something silly like you do in the middle here? And that's how they wrote together. They would just hand stuff back and forth.
And then to be George Harrison, who is also one of the greatest ever, to be like, well, it's a long drop from those guys, but I'm still one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, he gets the short end of the stick a lot of times, but in many other bands,
there was like, don't bring your shit around.
Yeah,
George, you're really not that good. And then
you're just George Harrison.
You might get one here or there, and then when he leaves, he does All Things Must Pass, which is one of the greatest albums of all time. Yeah. And those guys went, yeah, no, that's what he does.
Well, it's like, because like in the big picture, he's in like the 99.99% top little, but in the Beatles, he's in the bottom. He's like not even in the top 50% of good songwriters in the band. And then Ringo, don't even get me started.
Not even if you
luckiest guy alive.
And yet they all said they couldn't have done it without him. You'll never see one of those guys going, we used to laugh at Ringo all the time.
Well, maybe. I love, did you read the Keith Richards book?
Yeah.
That I love how he basically just is like, everyone sucks but Charlie Watts.
Yeah.
Which is kind of true when you think about it. You're like, well, yeah, that's kind of true.
You know what? Charlie Watts came in and he was doing like a jazz tour, and I brought up that to him, and he's like,
he was here?
Yeah.
Oh, he's the greatest guy alive.
And he was like, yeah, well, that's very much true.
Best dressed guy in the world.
Fantastically dressed. And really still kind of thinks of the Stones as something on the side. You know
it's
what
like
I mean?
it's like a softball team.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go though. Yeah, that's hilarious. I love it. And the guy is just like, if you look at any picture ever of on stage, he wears t-shirts or whatever,
Mhm.
but any picture off stage, best dressed every single time.
Well, like all the Stones, he's little. They're all the tiniest guys in real life. You know, they're like 130 would probably make you the fattest Stones.
I always wonder, do you think like they just like it's like a self-selecting thing where they won like a genetic? Because the one Ian Stewart, the keyboard player, was in the band, but they're like, "Hey, we got to have the talk with Fatty, Fatty Big Head. You're off to the side."
It's literally true. And when you listen, it's like maybe your favorite part of most of the Stones songs. Like it's one of the things, that sound of him playing is one of the things that connects you first to the song.
Yeah.
And then they just decided, what are you, like 160?
Can you imagine? I guess there had to have been like a couple days like where they were just like, just let him cool off. Just let him cool off. Because, oh man, that must have been hard. But I always wonder though, do those guys like, because you always hear like Steven Tyler's like, well, nothing, what did he say? Like nothing tastes as good as being thin feels. Like
Right.
that guy, and I have the inside, I'm friends with Joe Perry's sons, not to tangentially name drop.
I think
but they
it
were
was.
like, no, they're like, that guy, they're like, he drinks like green juices. That's all. Like to look like that. And he works out and stuff. But I wonder if those guys just starve themselves even into their 60s and 70s
Well, and his,
for the rock look.
In his case in particular, I think he does have that feminine and now what would be considered a well put together older woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I did a thing with the whole band, right? And this is a radio piece and we had an audience. And as we did it, he had a full length mirror put right in front of him so that he could keep an eye on how he looked.
Wow.
And I thought it was like the most rock star fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
Also, that's crazy because that could not have been that discreet to request
No, he
something
doesn't
like that.
Can't even wrap
He
my
doesn't give a shit. But I said this before, and I met a lot of people, and there's a lot of people that are really charismatic. But when fucking Steven Tyler locks in on you and just does the eye-to-eye thing, you're like, I see, he is a giant star, and I kind of feel like I am right now because I'm his best friend. Everybody that meets him just feels that warmth because he's a really warm and he locks in on you, and it's just, you know, like a Bill Clinton thing.
I was
people
just going to say, I've never met him, but anyone I've ever heard of that met him, they're just like, you can't not love the guy.
Right.
But it has to do with eye contact, right? Like he seems like he's a very like intense.
And he touches you, I heard.
Yeah.
I heard he
right.
like says your name, touches you. Yeah, it's all the same stuff.
Yeah.
Like you're just like, Bill Clinton loves me.
Aerosmith, which was a big band for me when I was a
I
kid.
love them.
And then they're having a picture taken over, and Steven Tyler would say, Ron, get in for this. And then I just met him that day, and he goes like this, take your cigar out. And we're just sitting there, and he wanted me to take out my cigar.
And like pose with it?
Yeah. And I'm like, this is probably the beginning of the most important friendship of his life. And I never saw him again or heard from him, but he makes people, you know, feel that great.
Now,
He
do you
just
think
does.
people like that have an ability to do that, or and it's natural, like he's actually creating that contact with you in that moment, or do you think that's like a device that people teach themselves to do?
I think it's subconscious, and they know what works for them, you know, but I think it's more subconscious.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like people that are funny. You could sit around and try to figure out, why is he that? You know what I mean?
Right.
Why did Bill Hicks think the way he did? I think that, you know, there is craft, but it's also whatever that thing is. You know, same way we're talking about Dylan. You know,
Yeah.
it's something you get.
Yeah.
Then you work on it a little bit once you get it. But out of all those kind of people, actors need that the most. Like, I don't think Dylan goes around trying to make people feel good about himself. People are just drawn to him for whatever reason. You know?
Right. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely on a different plane of all types. Like, I don't think that he does a lot of things. I don't want to say like he doesn't do them purposefully, but I think that he's just operating on a different set of rules. I think he's untouched in many ways.
Or very touched. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like almost like a shaman.
Oh,
where
yes,
I'm going to, it's like you meet some of those guys who are like so much into the spiritual world that they don't much bother with this one. I think that's kind of how Dylan is.
Yeah, I mean, what was the movie where everyone was portraying him?
I'm not here.
I'm not there.
Still there. I'm still here.
One of those.
Something.
But I loved how in all those different ways, like they kept him kind of this like ethereal creature. Like he just kind of like moves in and out of reality.
I watched the Kate Blanchett thing as a series.
Yeah, me
You know
too.
what I mean? Where she just played him forever.
She killed it. I mean, she really had him down, and you kind of buy it very quickly that that's Dylan. Like you're watching it, you're like, oh, there's Kate Blanchett, and then a minute later you're like, no, that's Dylan now.
My favorite thing that she did in that was, wow, that was Allen Ginsberg.
Ginsberg, man, just looking out the window.
I thought that was the funniest, craziest scene.
Dave Hill is in studio with us. The Goddamn Dave Hill Show airs Monday at 9 p.m. on WFMU. Go to WFMU.org for more information. And Dave's new book, Dave Hill Doesn't Live Here Anymore, comes out May 10th and is available now for pre-order on Amazon.com.
Dave, this went so well. Can we get you to come back in May?
Would you really have me back? I didn't ruin it.
No, I want to get that out of the way.
It'll
be one of those things where let's book them 3 more times over the next 2 years.
Gotcha, Rob.
Oh, this is great. All right, I'll still leave and be like, oh, man, he didn't mean that. Just a judgment on myself, not a judgment of your word. I take
you know
your
what?
word.
Now I feel bad about myself, and I'm going to, for the first time ever, rethink myself.
No,
that's I got that corner. You don't do that. Plus, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
From that's another thing I'm really bad at is hosting my radio show. I always forget, like you're supposed to remind people who's on the air.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been doing it that long, but I'm learning. I learn stuff. I just learned something from you.
Because she made it seem very natural that she was talking about the dates.
And I always forget. I always assume, I was like, well, everyone that's been listening to my 3-hour show has been listening from the very beginning and then like the station manager, Ken Freeman, was like, actually, like average is 20 minutes. I was like, oh, that changes everything. And 20 minutes, probably average for my show is 3 minutes. People are like, what? Change the channel.
I remember when I first started radio, that was heartbreaking to me. I'm just like, really? They go, yeah, because I was doing morning radio. They're like, they're just going to have you on for the time that they're going to work.
Yeah.
She's cruel.
We're doing everything for them. They're giving us just a few minutes of a drive. And those people would think that they loved you, and they would think that they listened to the show every day. But they only caught minutes of the show every day. But at least it's not like with late night TV where people literally fall asleep. Watching the show.
Or now, people just watch like clips online.
That's really strange.
Like you just kind of wait. I guess I'll just wait until I hear about this thing that I was supposed to see, and then I'll just watch that one part. And then that's it.
That's one thing that you can fight the way things are going, the trend of how you're receiving information as much as possible. But that's one that I really thought that I was not going to be that way. And I get most of my information of what happens on late night TV
It's horrible.
I get most news that way. It's just like, oh, this thing happened yesterday, and you're only getting these like tiny little clips. And then you kind of feel like you
feel like that's the thing. Like I love Colbert, and I was so psyched that he was taking over that slot. I'm like, I can't wait. That's going to be the best. And then I'm thinking, like, how many times have I sat down and watched it when it was on? 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But like, I've seen it a million times and seen all these clips. So I'm like, oh, I'm not really holding up my level of enthusiasm that I claim to have about it. I mean, I do watch it all the time, but it's just I don't watch it the way I grew up watching Letterman and stuff. And,
Sure.
and like that feeling of like, you know, like where like when I was watching Letterman as a kid, you're like, oh, this is what's happening right now. Everyone should be doing this. And now you're like, well, I'll do it like when I have time. I don't know.
Well, that was the thing about Letterman. When it came on, you felt like you were part of a special club who stayed up late enough to watch Letterman and get the references, you know?
Yeah.
You're like saying to people like, no, Chris isn't trying to be that kind of funny. He's crazy funny. Just keep watching.
Yeah.
No, he does. Dave doesn't hate Chris Elliott. He likes him. He wants him to be like this. But now you just get like, to me, I don't know if I've seen the Roots play with anything other than kindergarten instruments, because that's the stuff that they send out all the time of them with like little whistles.
Yeah.
Also with late night too, you're not really, you're not getting probably what's actually the best parts of the show, the stuff that they kind of build on. You're only getting whatever celebrity moment that they can repurpose the next day that's going to get them
3 minutes. And they know people are only going to give so much to a viral video. No one wants to see a 12-minute viral video.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be 3 and under.
But then my favorites, I still like, I have all the Dick Cavett Show DVDs, and it's like, his show was like an hour and a half at one point, and then it was down to an hour, and it's just like, it's just them sitting there. There's like long pauses. You're like, what's Groucho black out or having a stroke? Like, and they're just kind of waiting for someone to catch their thought, and there's no like, but I'm like, oh man, I like this better than the sort of like, da-da-da-da-da.
I love those Cavett things too, and he would just have these great musicians come on and play for a while, and you're like, oh, no one would be able to get to do a couple songs today on late night TV.
There's such a panic of how quick people check out now. That's
live music is the last 3 minutes of any late night show.
Yeah.
And very little stand-up on late
less
night.
and less.
Yeah,
Conan probably gives it more than anybody.
I think Conan is the most, but that was one of the things we had discussed is when Letterman goes, that's one of the few guys who still kind of does that. And I don't think Colbert
I haven't seen anything,
maybe one or two, but I don't think...
Did Maria Bamford do it recently?
I didn't see that, but... Yeah, I feel like it's certainly not a big part of his show if it has been featured at all.
But this will show you the difference. Like when David Brenner, David Steinberg, and Dick Cavett did those Carson shows, they used to do 9 minutes. You would come out and do 9.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
And then they would just go, hey, that was a great 9 minutes. Listen, Johnny's gone in a couple weeks. Do you want to come in and do the show? Like Cavett got that show. A co-hosting job after only, a couple appearances. And same with Brenner. You were very funny for 9 minutes. Why don't you come in here and host next week? There's going to be 30 million people watching. You're 24 years old. Give it a ride. See what happens. All right, we got to go. So great to have you in here today, buddy. We're already lining up new dates.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Dave Hill's been in studio with us. The goddamn Dave Hill Show airs Monday at 9 p.m. on WFMU. Go to WFMU.org for more information. Dave's new book, Dave Hill Doesn't Live Here Anymore, comes out May 10th and is available now for pre-order on Amazon.com. Dave is performing Pretty Much the Best Comedy Show Saturday, February 20th at Proctor's Underground in Schenectady, New York at 8 p.m. Go to DaveHillOnline.com for all additional dates.
All right, that's it for us. We'll see everybody again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!